Mr. Brown, Miss Wilson is your former girlfriend. And you claim she got really angry at you one night because she thought you were with another woman, an ex-girlfriend of yours. She came over to your house. You didn't answer the door. You looked out the window. You saw her leave, and she keyed your car. Right?
No.
What'd you do?
She did key my car, but I wasn't home. I was at my neighbor's house. My cousin was the one that answered the door. When she came to the door, he said, "Did you see your girl? Your girl just left."
Listen to me. I didn't ask for a whole story from you yet.
All right, I was just
Who saw her key your car?
I saw her key my car.
All right.
I went out my back door when my cousin told me that, he said, "Did you see your girl? She just left."
Shh. Don't tell me what anybody said to you. That's hearsay. You saw her key your car.
Correct. I went out my back door. I was trying to tell you where I saw her at.
Miss Wilson says she was really mad, but she didn't do it.
Correct. But he wanted home.
Miss Wilson.
Yes.
How long was he your boyfriend?
I met Curtis in April, and we broke up in like July or whatever. So it wasn't a long engagement.
Okay. Now, there came a time when you went over to his house?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
Whatever the day in question was.
What's the date?
The date was July 15th, if I am mistaken.
Okay. So you went over to his house for what purpose?
Okay. I called him on his cell phone. Nobody answered. Judge, I bought this cell phone for him. So the least he could do is answer the phone, you know what I'm saying? So I called it like 50 times. Nobody answers. So I live in Norfolk, he lives in Newport News. So I drive through the tunnel all the way to his house. So his car is parked not in front of his house, but on the side by the garbage can. So I'm like, okay, here he go with something that's not quite right. So I knock on the door. I see a woman look out the window. Now keep in mind, Curtis is still married to his wife. So I see the girl look out the window. I'm like, okay. So I'm knocking on the door, knocking on the door, knocking on the door. Finally, music pumping in the bedroom, sounds coming out the bedroom. I'm not stupid, Your Honor. So finally, he sent his cousin to the door. Kurt not here. I'm like, I just seen a girl in the bedroom. Oh, that was me. Okay, so now you got long hair and all this stuff? Oh, well, that was me. Kurt's not here. So by this time, I had went to the window before I even knocked on the door. I put my ear up to the window, trying to hear everything. I heard the music, I heard her, and I heard him. So I was filming, yeah, I was mad, but I left. I was really, really angry. I got in my car, and I left, and that was the end of it.
Good. Miss Wilson, you said Curtis is married.
Yes.
Is he living with his wife?
No.
Are they separated?
No.
Yes.
So shh,
yeah, right.
Quiet. So, Miss Wilson, what are you doing fooling around with a married man who's not separated from his wife?
Well, he didn't tell me in the beginning, I swear. He did not tell me in the beginning. You asked Curtis.
But then he told you.
But then he told me he told me they were separated. But then I talked to her herself. She said they wasn't.
Now tell me, Mr. Brown, tell me what you saw Miss Wilson do to your car.
Okay. I came out my back door. I use my back door. I don't use the front door. I use my back door to go in my house.
Just tell me what you saw.
I went out my back door. I was coming off the side of my building to the parking lot. I saw her exiting the hood of my car, going towards her car. She was walking like, say, this is my car. She was walking away. So I seen her scratching the hood of my car.
No,
let me see pictures of the car.
So she had to scratch. My car won't like that before.
Well,
Mr. Brown,
and she called me as soon as she left. She called me on my cell phone as soon as she left.
And what'd she say when she called you?
She said, "You gonna be real mad at me in a minute." I'm like, "Why?" She said, "You ain't gonna want to talk to me no more."
No, that is not how it happened.
She was like, "After you see what I done, you ain't gonna want to talk to me no more."
Did I ever say I keyed your car?
Yep.
You keyed Bishop, Miss Wilson. Listen to me. I want you to be very, very quiet when I say this to you, Miss Wilson.
Okay.
Very quiet. You keyed his car.
No, I didn't.
Can I
it
say
was
one
his
more
baby
thing?
mama that keyed his car, probably, or all them other girls that was on. He just mad because he can't figure out which one it is because he's sleeping with so many women, so he want to pin it on me.
Can I say one thing, Your Honor?
Just a minute. Put your hands down. You keyed his car.
I didn't key his car, Judge Judy.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. If I had called him 50 times and he didn't answer the phone and I went over there and I was still his girlfriend and I went into his house and saw him fooling around with somebody else, you're lucky she didn't blow up your car.
Exactly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was true to her.
Yeah, whatever.
I was at my neighbor's house.
But you just lying all over the court.
And later today,
Listen to me.
They told me to
And the
leave, and I
police-
left, and then she was supposed to come back.
Whose mouth is moving?
Both years.
And if both of that mouths are moving, who wins?
Judge Judy wins.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Curtis Brown says ex-lover Tabitha Wilson keyed his car. Tabitha says the culprit was probably another one of Curtis's girlfriends.
Can I see the bill? I believe you when you say you saw her over at your car.
How can you believe that? He
believe
didn't
it.
come out the house.
I believe it.
I came out the back door.
I believe it.
Oh my God.
What year car is this?
It's a 94 Ford Taurus.
You remember they used to have a company called Earl Shy painting your car or something like that? You know, they painted
paint any car
for
for
$2.99 or something like that.
$99, $9.99.
What's this $2,232?
He just
I
trying
went
to
to
get some
Mako.
money.
What?
I went to Mako. That's the estimate they gave me.
Go cheaper.
Because they said the
Go.
scratches that's deep is so deep into the paint, it's almost in the metal.
Oh, well, then every time you look at it, when you get a cheaper paint job, you're going to think about
Ain't gonna be
being
to see
true.
myself,
When you
it's
think of
gonna be
being
cheap.
true to one lady,
Yeah.
or maybe two ladies.
I was true to her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
I was at my neighbor's house.
But you just lying all over the court.
My cousin answered the door. My cousin is light skinned.
Mr. Brown,
My baby mama is light
Mr.
skinned.
Brown, get your car fixed. Get your car painted for $250 because I'm going to tell you something. That's all you're going to get from this court. Listen to me. $2,000, but you got it out of your system. You got it out of your system for $250. Do you feel better? Do you feel better?
Yes.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I went over to the boy house and then the lady gonna look out the window. Duh, play. That's you. Duh.
I won't no player. I won't dare. I was out with my neighbor.
It really doesn't matter to me. All he got was $250.
I just know not to mess with crazy girls, and she crazy, man.
I'm mad because you was there with your baby mama and you ain't had to come out here and just tell me to go home.
She could have done something else besides scratch my car. So that was kind of, that tell you, only a crazy person do something like that, man.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Pedrosa versus Palazzo. Step forward, please.
20-year-old stay-at-home mom, Christina Pedrosa, is suing the father of her child, 22-year-old construction worker David Colazzo, for the return of her belongings. David says Christina is keeping him from seeing his child.
Miss Pedrosa, you and the defendant have a young child together. Baby is about a year old. And you lived together for a short period of time, separated. And it is your claim that the defendant kept certain property that you amassed together that you should have. And that also you had certain of your personal property, clothes and stuff, that the defendant trashed or got rid of. Mr. Colazzo said he kept what was his, what he paid for, and that he gave you ample opportunity to get your stuff, and he put it out on the porch, and it's gone. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me when you lived together.
2000, 2001, 2002,
And when was your daughter born?
August 8th, last year.
And who is this?
This is my father,
When did you separate? When did you move out with the baby?
like 4 months ago.
Is that right? You moved out in June?
Yes.
When you left in June, what property did you take with you?
The baby's clothes and her dresser and her little knickknacks, and that's it. He wouldn't let me get anything else. When I went in, I've got the police reports from when I lived with them. The police was called. The day that we went there to pick up this stuff, I had the police come with me, but he was so drunk, he was acting he was acting crazy, and
This is a lot more information
The day
than I
that you
think I
came
should. This is a
to get your stuff,
Mr.
I
Collazo,
was
don't
drunk.
talk to
You wouldn't
Mr.
let me.
Collazo, don't talk to her. Talk to me. You want to talk to her? Go outside. You want to talk in court? You talk to me. I want to know what property it is that you think that you are entitled to, Ms. Pedroso, and let's do it quickly, please, because I'm beginning to lose it.
everything that I paid for, my
Well,
recliner.
you tell me what you paid for.
Okay, I've got receipts for my recliner that I paid for, my
All right, recline, just a second.
Right.
Recliner. Go ahead.
my dining room table and chairs,
Yes.
my bed.
It means that's the bed that you and Mr. Collazo shared.
Yeah.
I told you you could have everything.
Shh, Mr. Collazo. You're going to have a turn. I give everybody a turn.
I'm sorry.
If they're good, they get a turn. They're not good, they don't. Go ahead.
My clothes bag. He took all my clothes.
I
Oh.
left him right there when Mr. Officer told me to leave.
Now, you purchased a recliner, a table and chairs, and the bed. What did you purchase it with?
My credit card.
So you don't mind if she gets the recliner, table and chairs, and bed, right?
Yeah, it don't bother me.
No, I want you to listen to me. Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
She can come and get
She could come and get it.
the recliner, table and chairs, and bed.
The recliner tables and chairs in bed.
Perfect, because they're on her credit card. You don't have to repeat that. And she is responsible for paying for it. Fine. So
But-
you're going to get your recliner, table, and chairs in bed, pick them up within 5 days. You bring the U-Haul it. What's next?
I have a washer and dryer also.
Was that also purchased on your credit
No.
card?
No.
Well, who purchased it?
That was given to me by my father. He purchased it from my brother.
Is that right?
Yes.
Washer and dryer? Did you buy that? Mr. Collazo?
No, but I helped her buy all the other stuff that she had.
What other stuff?
Girl,
Shh. What other stuff, Mr. Collazo?
everything she wants.
No, just
I
a minute,
paid
but
for
it's on her
stuff.
credit card.
I didn't pay for all of it.
When did you work?
Don't, Miss
Still
Pedroso?
pay for it.
Don't. Don't irritate me. I'm ready to kiss you both goodbye.
Your Honor.
Speak not. That's it. She's also going to get the washer and dryer because her father gave it to her as a gift.
Yeah.
Right? So, recliner, table and chairs, bed, washer and dryer. You got it. Now, your clothes? Should have gotten your clothes when you went to pick up the baby's things in the dresser.
I have
because he put the clothes out on the front porch. He doesn't have them anymore.
Listen, I went there with the cops, the sheriff,
Police.
the police.
Yes.
There was one cop. When I went there, I
Yeah,
tried
you
to
trying
get...
to come in my crib when I'm asleep. You gonna come to my house while I'm sleeping? Just so you
Mr.
have the key.
Collazo.
drunk
Mr.
naked
Collazo.
on the chair.
Shh. Mr.
It's
Collazo.
my house. I was chilling.
What did you have a discussion with him, Bird?
Sure.
And then if he opens his mouth again, throw him out.
This is the best way I can explain to you. If you keep it up, she's going to throw you out. Okay? And then I'd be forced to throw you out. You don't want that, do you?
Nah, Pop.
Okay. So you know what you do? Respect the court.
I'm
all right?
sorry.
Take your time. You all right?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Cool.
I'm sorry.
Where are her clothes?
I put him on the porch. The cop said, you know, because I was like, why you guys come to my house for? Just because she had the keys. You was already gone.
No, look at me. Look at me. Don't look at her. I don't want you to look at her. You put her clothes on the porch?
Right in front of the cop.
And the
And he's like, oh,
listen to me.
he told me to
And the
leave, and I
police-
left, and then she was supposed to come back.
Lying.
Whose mouth is moving?
Both ears.
And if both of their mouths are moving, who wins?
Judge Judy wins.
Just answer me. You put the clothes on the porch at the direction of a police officer. Is that what you're
Yes,
telling
ma'am.
me? Were you present? The answer is yes or no.
I wasn't present when the clothes were put there, ma'am, but I was there when we went to pick up the clothes. Pick up her stuff a couple times with the chief of police.
Step up.
So I had no warrant coming.
I have.
And what
receipts.
happened?
Left.
When we got there, David was very argumentative. He was drunk, and he was yelling at us to get out of his house. He was starting to push the chief around. The chief says, I don't need this, because he's a short guy. He's getting ready to call backup, and then he says, you know what, because they started arguing in the trailer, and then he said, well, you know what, why don't you guys just leave, get the baby stuff out, and you just go to court and get your stuff. But Christina's clothes, Your Honor, were still in the trailer. He wouldn't let them take it. Then, when he told her to come and get her stuff, she went there. There was no police, from my understanding, because I talked to the chief. No police officers went there when he said he put the clothes out there. There was no clothes out.
You don't know that. Mr. Collazo, you
Your
want to
Honor.
be a smart man? Shh, quiet. You want to be a smart man?
One day.
I want all of those things ready. And I want them all in reasonable condition. I don't want you to do anything nasty to them, because now I'm going to get to you with regard to seeing your daughter.
Thank you.
Okay. You have a drinking problem, Mr. Collazo? Been around the town for a long time. You have a drinking problem, Mr. Collazo. Because if you didn't have either a drinking problem or another problem with substances, you wouldn't be behaving the way that you are in court today. So you got a little bit of spirit from someplace other than your soul today before you came to court. I don't want to go into it with you, but I'm going to tell you this. If you made a baby, look at me. If you made a baby,
take care of
you
my
have,
daughter.
listen to me. If you made a baby, you have an obligation. You have an obligation to be a father. And that means having a job, being sober, making arrangements to see your daughter, and if she, for some reason,
shake her butt.
You're not paying attention, sir. And I have to conclude that since you know who I am, that the reason you're not paying attention to what I'm telling you is because you are a little bit high. So I want you to listen to me. She can't have you around a child who's a year old.
Punk boyfriend don't want to be smoking weed by my daughter.
Just a second. Mr. Collazo, look at me. What you're telling me is that Miss Pedroso is not behaving properly.
Yeah, what?
I'm not... Are you listening?
Yeah.
Or are you listening to your inner voices? You have to see to it that you see your daughter by going to court, asking for an order of visitation, saying, I do everything right. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I have a job. I'm prepared to regularly support my daughter. I want to be able to see her. And if she doesn't let you do it and doesn't let you see your daughter, judge is going to say to her, I'm going to take the child away from you.
Yeah, then where's she going to go?
She's going to come and live with you.
No, Your Honor, you know what? I have no problem with him seeing his daughter, but he is doing this, getting drunk, getting high, and...
How you know? You ain't
Because I know.
Miss Pedroso.
I go to work every morning. I wake up at 5:30 every single morning. What do you do?
No.
You shake your
But
butt.
he paid $50 for her birthday, and that's it.
Put him out. He doesn't get it.
He paid $50 for her birthday.
Pay careful
and
attention
that's
to me
it.
because I can't talk over two people talking. That's not the way I run this place. If he's not doing the right thing, and if you feel as if your daughter is at risk if she spends time with him, then you're right. But if he gets his act together, it's not right for you. You picked him. You had this baby with him.
I told him that. If he right now he's got a job, yay. But he's still on drinking, doing drugs, and he's not responsible for that.
If he is,
and he doesn't
then you
pay
are
nothing.
right. If he is, then you're right. And he shouldn't see the child unless you're comfortable that the child is safe with him.
That's all I'm saying.
That's all. Meanwhile, you go and pick up 5 days. We'll prepare the order. The recliner, table and chairs, bed, washer, dryer, goodbye.
Now, this is case number 259 on calendar in the matter of Siegel versus Starkey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Well, stand up here. Miss Siegel, I assume this young man is the young man who you allege hit your car while he was skateboarding in a parking lot, causing the windshield to shatter. You want his mother and he to be responsible for the damage to your car.
Yes.
Miss Starkey says that you hit her son because you probably were driving recklessly through the parking lot, and she wants you to be responsible for his medical bills. He was slightly injured. You were very lucky. What does that mean? What kind of look is that?
I got scars from it. I have a scar and then...
You could have been dead.
Yes, I know that.
So then you were very lucky.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
That's all. I knew I'd get there. All right, Miss Siegel, you want to tell me when this happened and your version of the events?
Yes, it happened May 30th of this year. I was driving through the parking lot of Albertsons. It was a full parking lot. I was going about 20 miles an hour.
Where were you coming from and going to?
I was coming from these stores right here, and I was getting ready to pull out on Justin Road. I was going through almost to the road that goes into Wendy's, and I look up, and there's a kid on my windshield. And I slammed on my brakes, and he flew off. I put it in park and went out and made sure he was okay.
What time of the day was this, about 3 o'clock?
Yeah, it was about 3 o'clock. I have pictures of my windshield, and I have a picture of the parking lot.
Let me see the pictures of windshield, pictures
And
of
then
the
there's,
parking
I
lot.
have pictures of my car, and there's an arrow with the damage. We've had the damage since been fixed.
You didn't take a picture of the dent?
No. I have a police report that says where the damage was.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Okay. It's on the back right there. It's his statement, the police's statement.
You're very lucky. What's your first name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan, you're very lucky.
Yes, ma'am.
Must have a very hard head. Were you wearing a helmet?
No, ma'am.
Did you tell the police that you darted across the parking lot?
No, ma'am.
What did you tell the police that you did?
I didn't. They never took a statement from me, ma'am.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Police officer didn't lie. Police officer asked you a question, and you said the pedestrian, that was you, advised that he darted across the parking lot and never saw the vehicle.
I did see the vehicle, but it was further back in the parking lot, and when I got 3/4 of the way through the lane that she was traveling down, and then Heather, the lady that was coming the opposite direction of her, saw me and stopped. And like, I saw her, but I figured she was going to stop because the witness had stopped because she had saw me before I'd even gotten the street. So I guess...
So you figured that she would stop. You figured that she saw you too. You made a mistake.
Yes, I did.
There we go. That's why we're here.
But she also, I'm assuming she was on her, actually I'm positive that she was on her cell phone. And there was...
Just a minute, let's listen to me. You think, you assume, you're positive? What was it? You think, you assume, or you're positive?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Just a second. We're going to get there. So, one lady, I assume this lady was coming in the opposite direction.
Yes,
she
ma'am.
saw you and stopped her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you weren't in the right. You didn't have the right of way. You did not have the right of way. There's no stop sign there, right? And you're not supposed to be skateboarding in the parking lot, right? So you assume this lady saw you and stopped, so you assume the other person was going to stop because she must have seen you also, right? Well, what if she didn't see you?
That's what happened if she didn't see me.
Then you should have stopped because you saw her. It was clear you saw her.
There was no way I could have stopped.
Why? Were you going too fast?
Yes, ma'am. Because
Well, then you shouldn't have been going too fast in the parking lot, sir. That's not what a parking lot is for. What if there was a little child walking across the street? You would have hit the little child on your skateboard?
No, ma'am.
Well, you would have if you couldn't stop. If you couldn't stop, you were going too fast.
I would have moved.
Well, then why didn't you move if you saw her car?
Because of the moment, if the child was walking one way, I could have moved this way. The car was going at such a fast rate that I couldn't.
Miles an hour.
That's enough to where I could hit, and it's a bigger
Do you
vehicle.
understand what he's saying? He's making no sense. None. I'll hear you. Step up. Mother wasn't there. You were there. You were driving a car. You don't know who he is. You don't know who she is.
No, I don't know either one of them.
You were driving your car. You saw him coming down the street.
I was pulling in right here. I saw her car. Her car was all the way back here when I saw her. I mentioned to my daughter, I said, surely she sees that child. She was on her cell phone, and he was 3/4 across this divider right here. He was almost to the other side when she hit him. It was not this child's fault. I don't have anything to gain from coming to court and
You're
testifying for
absolutely
this
right.
little boy. She jumped out of her car. I threw my car into park. I jumped out to see him because she hit him in such a force. He went up in the air. His shoe went off. He hit the windshield, bounced on the hood, bounced on the floor. And when I went to the boy's aid, he's on the ground, and at the time I assumed he was dead. And by her own admission, she was speeding 20 miles an hour in a 5-mile-an-hour parking lot. She jumped out of her car, cell phone in hand, screaming at this child. Excuse me, screaming at this child. You hit my car. Look what you did to my car. The whole time she screamed at this child saying that, at one point the police officer had to tell her to shut up. And this child is bleeding from the head. He's bleeding from the arm. His shoe is off over in the other side of the car.
Was there a stop sign where you were? Were you crossing over?
I had actually just turned on to right here. I'm here on 407, fixing to turn into the parking lot to go to...
So you were just turned in?
And when I was turning in, she was here.
Okay.
And if she had been paying attention, she would have seen the child. There's no way she couldn't have if she had not been on that cell phone and had not been speeding.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He hit the left front corner panel. He hit me. He skated into the side of my car.
If I find that you were on a cell phone, I don't care whether he came in through the sunroof.
And later today,
You acknowledge that you did toss pudding out of the car.
Yes.
What kind of pudding? Chocolate pudding, vanilla pudding?
It was a vanilla chocolate swirl.
real cases, real people, Judge Judy. Kim Siegel says 15-year-old Jonathan Starkey ran into her car with a skateboard. Jonathan says Kim was on her cell phone when she hit him.
Well, I'm pretty confident, based upon what you tell me, that she had a cell phone in her hand.
Oh, yes, she did.
Oh, I believe that. Now I believe that. I didn't believe it when he said it.
He was
because
horrified.
I don't think he saw it, because I don't think he was paying attention to anything. But I believe it when you tell me that she had a cell phone in her hand.
No. Okay, she was 30 feet in front of, there's a big space between where the Wendy's parking lot and C. There's no way she could have seen in my car or seen what I was doing. And I had both hands on the steering wheel. My cell phone was in my purse next to me. And I didn't yell at the boy. I got out to make sure he was okay. I got my cell phone. I called 911. She sat him down on the rock and was telling him not to move because he could have internal injuries. And all Jonathan kept saying was, I'm fine, I'm fine. Don't tell my mom. I've fallen and gotten hurt worse. I'm okay. Just let me go home. Just let me go home.
So?
No.
What does that have to do with being on a cell phone?
Well, I wanted to say I wasn't.
Why would she say that you were on a cell phone if you weren't? Do you know her?
No, I don't.
She doesn't know this lady at all. Why would she say that you were on a cell phone?
I don't know. I wasn't on my cell phone.
Yeah, you were.
No.
Yeah, you were.
I was not on my cell phone. It was in my purse.
I don't believe that. There is a basis for you to tell me you weren't on your cell phone, but there's no basis for her to lie. And I don't think that you have to necessarily see somebody who's speeding through using a skateboard in a parking lot. It's not what he's supposed to do. I mean, there's no question. You understand that. You're not supposed to be on your skateboard in a parking lot, going too fast so that you can't stop. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, you're not blameless, but I believe you were on a cell phone. And since you're driving the car, and the car is a bigger piece of equipment, madam, you don't get a penny. I believe that you were on the cell phone. I do. I also think, stand up here, I also think that you have to accept a certain amount of responsibility for what happened. She wasn't looking where she was going because she was on a cell phone, but she wasn't looking out for a skateboarder. She's in a parking lot, and you were going too fast in the parking lot, and you got hurt, fortunately, not seriously, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of medical bills did you have?
I had to go, the ambulance ride there, and then I had to go to the hospital for the emergency room fee, and they had to clean up some stuff on my head and my arm.
Okay. Let me see the bills that you had.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Uh-huh.
I was traveling only about 15 to 20 miles an hour. The police weren't really sure how fast. And he hit the left front corner panel. He hit me. He skated into the side of my car.
If I find that you were on a cell phone, I don't care whether he came in through the sunroof. I believe you were on your cell phone. That's what I believe. Okay. I believe that because you say you weren't. She says you were. And she has absolutely no reason to lie. Okay. All right, let me see the bills. Jonathan, your pain and suffering you have to deal with yourself. I'm not entertaining any applications for your pain and suffering because stay out of parking lots.
Yeah, I know. I'm way more careful than what I was.
Good. Now, when you're dealing with a pedestrian, you have to be so vigilant. That's why they have 5-mile speed limits in parking lots rather than 15 or 20. Because people dart out of cars, kids get into a car, they get away from their parents. You know, parents drop their hands for a second, kid darts out. So 20 miles an hour, you can kill them. 5 miles an hour, they have a chance. That doesn't mean a parking lot is there for your pleasure and for your amusement and entertainment. It's not, because she has to be vigilant looking for people coming out of cars, and she has to be vigilant with respect to cars in and out of the parking lot, but not somebody who's speeding at probably far greater speed than 20 miles an hour on your skateboard. You got me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Now, if she had a cell phone in her hand, which I believe she's not entitled to recover, period, end of discussion. And you have to pay for the medical bills, madam, because she's not responsible, because you were at fault. He was no genius, but he's a baby. He's 15 years old. All right, judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $532. The claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I got a phone call saying my son had been hit by a car.
He had hit right above my left tire and went up on my windshield, and I slammed on the brakes.
I was worried, and I shook the whole rest of the way to where I was going.
My windshield was shattered, and I have a kid on my windshield.
He said that she got out of the car, and all she was worried about was her car.
Shock, hysteria. I was a nutcase.
This child has had sleepless nights because of it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hassanzadeh versus Clark. Step forward, please.
Kimberly Hassanzadeh and her daughter, 17-year-old Ashley, are suing singer Paul Clark and his son, 17-year-old Jeremy, for damage to her car. Ashley claims Jeremy and his friends pelted her with pudding.
What's your first name?
Jeremy.
How old are you, Jeremy?
17.
Are you an idiot?
No.
Is this your father?
Yes, it is.
Do you think your father would be very distressed to learn that after all that he's invested in you, he invested in an idiot?
I suppose so.
Yeah, right? Spent all that money? Let him drive a car? What kind of car was your father letting you drive?
This was a 91 Accord.
And who owns it?
It was actually my grandmother's.
So you have a grandmother who indulges you too?
Yeah.
Are you an only child, Jeremy?
No.
You have older siblings?
I have 2 older sisters and an older brother.
So you're the baby. Oh! There goes the problem, Mr. Clark. He's the baby. Ashley, did you know Jeremy before this event?
No, I did not.
Ashley's just driving her car, and you were driving your grandmother's car, and there were some other friends of yours that were in their cars.
Yes.
And some other friends who were also idiots, and they decided to throw pudding.
Yeah.
Not anything bad, just pudding.
Yeah, it's just...
What kind of pudding? Chocolate pudding, vanilla pudding?
It was a vanilla chocolate swirl.
And had you all gotten these pudding cups before you got into your cars?
Yeah.
Where did you get them from, Jeremy?
The local grocery store.
You bought a 6-pack?
I think there's 2 6-packs per car. There's 3 cars.
Did you have spoons?
I actually did. Because
Okay. No, I'm trying to put this all together. You don't mind if I do this to your son, do you, Mr. Clark?
Fine, ma'am.
Okay, now you're driving your grandmother's car.
Yes.
And you acknowledge that you, in fact, did toss pudding out of the car.
Yes.
But it is your contention that your pudding didn't hit her car. It was somebody else's pudding that hit her car.
It was a failed attempt.
You had a failed attempt. And so that's your defense.
Yes.
You say his pudding landed in your car.
Yes.
Okay. You're driving along and you have your pudding in your hand.
Not while I was driving, no.
Where was it?
It was in the center console.
Now, what prompted you, Jeremy, to pick up that pudding and chuck it out of your car?
The initial was that they flipped us off and sped off.
Ashley and her friends?
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. When you say they flipped you off, you do not have to demonstrate. Bird understands what that means, and so do I.
Yeah.
Were you saying anything to them, or any of your friends?
There was a light conversation, but...
There was light conversation?
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Like what kind of light conversation?
Well, we were driving next to him, and I had waved to him because they're looking over, so I politely waved.
Show me how you did that.
Kind of stuff. hey, how you doing? Type wave. We're going 45, 50 miles an hour down the road, and you can't really tell what they're saying.
Okay, so then they flipped you off, and you got mad. And did they flip you off or your friends as well?
Well, it was the car. It was kind of they took off and.
Well, but there was more than one car.
True,
so
but yeah,
you went like
it was
this.
my car.
So you were the one that was
yes.
disrespected.
Yes, I felt disrespected.
Do you have a photograph of your car?
I took these photographs after she had cleaned it, but it will still show it got on the speaker. It's the area she couldn't get it because it's convertible and the top was down, and she could not get it out of all the little areas.
Okay, did you pay to have it cleaned?
Yes. Here's the receipt. And we just asked them to clean the areas where the pudding had gotten into the speaker and all the little areas of her soft top. The convertible top was down.
Okay. Now, Jeremy, who was it who landed their pudding in the plaintiff's car?
We actually don't know. We know what car it came
That's
from.
all I want to know.
Okay.
You actually don't know.
We actually
But
don't
it would
know.
be safe to say, Jeremy, since you were the one who was disrespected,
Yes.
and you were the one who threw the pudding first, even though it didn't land on the car, right?
Uh-huh.
Listen to this logic, Jeremy.
Okay.
You seem like a, at least academically smart boy.
Well, thanks.
Not socially adept, but academically smart boy. It would be a fair statement that your friends followed suit in the other cars, right?
Yes.
So you are a leader.
I am.
You know what leaders do?
Leader.
They take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So now we have, for your team, $89.99 plus tax, $96.76 for detailing. He's got to pay for being a fool. That's all. Right?
Right.
Good. No excuses. I love it. I love it. He's not such an idiot after all, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, ma'am.
All that money that you spent on the baby wasn't wasted. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $96.76. Thank you.
Yes, this is case number 98 on the calendar in the matter of McIntosh versus Sexton. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
A fight over a man. How stupid can you get? And where is this man that we were all fighting over?
Are you asking me, Judge?
Anybody who will answer my question.
Oh, he's incarcerated at the present time.
Great.
He's not really the reason why we're here, though. He was irrelevant to this.
No, he's not irrelevant, but for the fact that each of you were related to him in some way by affection, you wouldn't be here. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know what she had going with him, but I know he respected me. So I don't know exactly what she had going with him.
All right, Ms. McIntosh, it's your claim that Ms. Sexton assaulted you.
Yes.
She assaulted you with a bottle. You were seriously injured. According to you, you wanted to pay for that. You were briefly involved with the defendant's boyfriend. You didn't know that he had a girlfriend, according to you.
Yes.
And anyway, somehow that escalated. You're going to tell me the story. Ms. Sexton said that she acted in self-defense, that you picked up a bottle first to hit her. She got the bottle out of your hand, and so she bopped you with the bottle. This was really a brawl. She says, in her counterclaim, that you damaged her car on 2 separate occasions, and that she wants you to pay for her legal fees that she spent in defending these assault charges. So that's your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently pregnant, Ms. Sexton?
Yes, I am.
And the father of this child is the person who is currently incarcerated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any other children with him?
No, ma'am.
Did you become pregnant after you found out that he was fooling around with an underage person?
Well, actually,
Just answer my question. That's either yes or no.
Well, yes.
Another testament to your good judgment. How old are you?
18.
How old are you, Miss Sexton?
I'm 27.
You have children?
No.
Okay, Miss McIntosh, let's hear it.
On August 18, 2002, I had my sister take me to a friend's house to retrieve a necklace I left over there.
What time?
It was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Go ahead. I must be living in another culture.
So, as I was inside of the residence...
What do you do for a living?
I'm a student.
What day of the week was August 18th?
A Sunday.
What do you do during the summer?
Nothing.
Why?
Because I'm a student. I go to school right now.
You were going to school in August of 2002?
School hasn't started yet.
So what were you doing?
Nothing.
Didn't you ever hear of working?
Huh? Yes.
That's what most 17-year-olds do during the summer when they're not in school. That keeps them out of trouble, so that they're not out at 2 o'clock in the morning going to retrieve a necklace. You're her friend?
I'm her sister.
Sister. I won't even ask what you were doing, because you're older than 18?
Yes.
So you were on your way to retrieve a necklace at 2 o'clock in the morning from a friend's house. And what happened?
While I was inside of the residence, the defendant...
Inside of what residence?
My friend's house.
Who's your friend?
My boyfriend.
Oh, so that's the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a girlfriend's house you were going over
No.
to. Your sister was taking you over to your boyfriend's house to get a necklace that you had allegedly left there. Is that right?
Yes.
Who did he live with?
His mother.
Is she normal?
Yes.
Well, what do you think some normal person would think of a young 17-year-old popping by at 2 o'clock in the morning?
She was asleep.
So what happened when you got there?
While I was inside of the residence, the defendant, Alicia Sexton...
Just a second. You were inside with the boyfriend?
Yes.
How long had you been there inside?
Like 3 minutes.
And where was your sister?
Outside in a car waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Your Honor, that's not...
I don't want to hear
Okay.
it yet. So you're inside with the boyfriend at his mother's house at 2 o'clock in the morning. And
the defendant came in, Alicia Sexton walked in with my friend's little brother. She came in and she asked me what my name was. I replied, Sita, and she struck me upside the head with a bottle. I then fell, she got on top of me or whatever and started hitting me. My friend broke it up or whatever.
You're talking in terms of this boyfriend?
Yes.
Who's in jail?
Yes.
He broke it up?
Yes.
Go ahead.
As I ran outside, Alicia came after me. She had the bottle in her hand. She threw it at me, but it missed me. And then she got on top of me. When she slammed me, she got on top of me again. That's when my friend and my sister came over there and they broke the fight up. My sister didn't rush me to emergency. I had 11 stitches. I got cut 2 different spots, 8 up here and 3 down here. I have pictures.
Let me see. Okay, let me hear your version of the events, Miss Sexton.
Actually, Judge, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was on my way over to pick my boyfriend up. We lived together. He was at his mother's house while I was at the casino.
What were you doing there?
I was gambling.
Now, you and this boyfriend lived together?
Yes, we lived at my home.
Who else lives there?
Just me and him.
How long have you been living there?
We've been living together for about 4 years now.
Go ahead.
This is actually a housing project where I was picking him up from. When I pulled up outside, I seen this young lady run in the house. She wasn't already in the house. She was outside with a bunch of people. I was not even aware of this girl, who she was, didn't know what she looked like or anything. She ran in the house, at which time his little brother showed up, and I went in the house with him. Well, he was trying to push her out the back door at the time, my boyfriend. She wouldn't go. So I said, who are you? And she said, I'm Sita. And I said, oh, you came to my house and busted out my car windows. Because she had already came to my house before on an incident prior to this and did damage to my vehicle.
How do you know that?
I have police reports with witnesses that seen her do it.
Well, you never filed any charges with regard to that.
I tried to file charges for the destruction of property in that case, ma'am. Yes, I did.
Do you have any witnesses here that saw her do it?
No, but it's in the police report.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She said, you broke out my car windows. And she said, yeah, I did, and what you gonna do about it?
So you showed her what you were gonna do about it. So you hit her.
We were fighting each other.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I landed the first punch or she did.
Miss Sexton, you know everything else.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Larceta McIntosh claims she and Alicia Sexton had a physical brawl over a man. Larceta says Alicia hit her in the face with a bottle.
So, at the time you saw her and she told you her name.
Right.
According to you, then you knew who she was.
Then I knew who she was.
You had never called her before.
No.
Because she says you called her house a year
before.
No, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I called her mother prior to that.
Thank you. Well, that's what I want to know. You called her mother.
But not her.
What? Don't play with me.
Right. I called her mother.
What did you say to her mother?
I asked her mother, was she aware that her daughter had called me and told me she was having intimate relations with my grown boyfriend that was of age and he shouldn't be having intimate relations with her, and that if he was...
So she called you?
She called my house first to tell me of this relationship she was having with him. And so at the time, I was trying to get this resolved because she was underage and I'm grown. And so the mother said that, no, her daughter was just lying, and her daughter told me this, that her daughter was just trying to make me mad.
When did her daughter tell you this?
Like she had to be about 15, maybe 16 then.
So you did speak to her on the phone?
Yes, she called my home. I didn't call her house.
So then she called you and you spoke to her?
Yeah, and then I, in return, called her mother to see what was going on. And so when I did call her mother said she was just trying to make me jealous. I told her mother that her daughter told me that she was having relations with him and that he was too old to have relations with her, and if that was really the deal, that I wanted to know.
Okay. The boyfriend is trying to push her out the back door because you're coming in the front door, and what happened?
Like I said, I was coming to where they were standing. She was standing right behind him. I asked her, who was she? I wasn't even aware of who this girl was at that time.
Well, what did you say to her?
I said, you came to my house and busted out my car windows, and she said, you know, real cocky or whatever, and she said, I'm Sita. And I said, oh, and we started a physical confrontation at that point.
So before you asked who she was, you said to her, you came to my house and broke out my car window.
Right.
So you knew who she was.
No,
Miss Sexton. That's what you just said.
I didn't know who she was by her looks. I just
just
figured that was her because she made her presence appearance when I pulled up.
Listen to me. You just said to me that when you walked into their house, you said to her, you broke out my car windows.
After she said that she was Sita.
No, that's not what you just told me
That's
2
what I meant
seconds
to
ago.
say. That's how it went.
You knew who she was.
Well, I kind of had an idea when she made herself present.
Let's not play with each other.
But I
Miss
didn't
Sexton.
know
I don't
who
have
she
time.
was.
I'm speaking. Don't try to talk over me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And so at that time, we started a physical confrontation.
Look at my eyes. What do you mean at that time we started a physical confrontation?
We started fighting.
Somebody always starts fighting first. So give me a step-by-step of what happened.
I asked her, like I said, who she was. She told me who she was. And at that time, I said, you came to my house and you broke out my car windows. And she said, yeah, I did. And what you gonna do about it?
And?
So we started fighting.
So you showed her what you were going to do about it.
We fell on a coffee table and the coffee
So
table
you
got
hit her.
broke.
So you
well,
hit her.
we were fighting each other.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I landed the first punch or she did.
Miss Sexton, you know everything else. You know what you said, you know what the boyfriend said, you know about the little brothers, you know everything else, but you can't tell me who hit who first?
Well, we started fighting at that point.
Okay, well, if you don't know, who hit who first? Did she hit you first?
She hit me with the bottle.
Well, since you don't remember, babe.
I didn't hit her with the bottle.
Listen to me. Since you don't remember, I have to assume that she remembers. If you just said to me, I don't remember, then I conclude that you hit her first. Because if you don't remember, and one person says I remember, and logically it makes sense to me that,
Well,
that
she's
you would
saying
hit
that
her.
I hit her with the bottle, and I did not.
Well, I don't care what you hit her with. You hit her
We
with
fell on a coffee table, a
that.
glass coffee table, and broke it, Your Honor.
Well, let me tell you something, madam. If the fight started because you hit her first, and in self-defense she reacted, you are still liable. And I have no idea why the police dismissed these charges against you.
They never even came and spoke to me.
Well, that's some police department. You are responsible for her injuries. Since you don't remember, and she does, you're responsible. You had hospital bills? Well, in what amount?
My hospital bills came up to, like $730.
And was there an insurance deductible?
I don't care whether there was or whether there wasn't. She's suing. I'm speaking.
And that's for why the case was dismissed.
Can I see it, please?
I think the hospital bill in back of the police report.
Oh, it was dismissed on a speedy trial motion. Is that right?
Yep.
So the DA didn't move fast enough.
Yes, that's correct. That was the only reason.
They must be very busy in Douglas County, Nebraska. You're suing her for $2,000 for both the medical bills and your pain and suffering. You are entitled to that. So on your complaint, I am going to award you $2,000. Ms. Sexton, you have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim states that she damaged your car. You have proof of that?
In the police reports, the police spoke to the witnesses.
And that's the only proof that you have?
Well, in that I seen her actually bust my window out at one time.
I don't believe that, because if you had seen her busting out your car window, then you would have put that in your answer and in your counterclaim. You chose not to do that, and even the person who you brought with you was shaking her head no. Isn't that right? Isn't that right?
No, it's incorrect.
Oh, yeah, she saw her bust out her window?
Yes, I did.
Oh, how come it's not in the answer that you put here, madam?
Caused damages to my vehicle on 817 and 713. It is in there. She caused damages.
No. You didn't tell me that you observed it.
If I may.
Step up. Who are you?
I'm her mother.
Did you observe her? Did you
I did not observe her. She has a protection order against me, and I have one against them also. The first time that her windows got broken out at her home, she called me at 5:30 in the morning. I went up there. I looked at her caller ID. She said that the girl had been harassing her all night.
There's no question in my mind that this 17-year-old girl
got infatuated.
Be quiet.
Yeah, your judgment's not terrific, Miss Sexton. Your mother can attest to that, isn't that right?
On some things, yes.
There's no question in my mind that this 17-year-old girl was strung along by this person currently incarcerated, soon to be a father. There's no question that she acted inappropriately for a 17-year-old or for a 27-year-old or for a 15-year-old. Your daughter is supposed to be older and smarter.
And I called her parents, the 17-year-old's parents, at that time. Spoke to the father first. The father told me that she was out of control, that yes, she was out all night, that they didn't know where she was, that's what's the car she was.
She's out of control.
She was supposed to be on a curfew at the time, ma'am.
Put yourself down.
Well, anyway, I asked them, I said, well, can you do something with her? She can't keep coming up here, calling here, breaking out windows, causing all this damage. Something's going to happen, and one of them are going to end up getting hurt eventually. Later that day, her mother called my house, told me that I was going to bury my daughter with my other dead daughter. And I said, if anything happens to my daughter, your daughter's the one coming up here. So I went back and forth.
What does this have to do with car windows?
It just kept going back and forth.
Listen to me. What does this have to do with car windows?
The damage is excessive,
she was coming
and it
to my
kept
home.
doing it, and she kept coming to her home. My daughter never went to her home, never called her, anything.
Listen to me. In all probability, she did it. Just give me proof.
Well, the only proof I have is the witnesses that are in the police reports, ma'am.
Well, I can't use that, madam.
Well, I did ask if I could bring notarized statements or anything. They said no. Right.
So. No, you could bring witnesses.
Well,
these are older people that own businesses and couldn't come.
And I can't help you.
And then at the housing project that night, the mother of the defendant told her, do not break out her windows, because they were threatening to, and she saw her break it out.
Tell me what you saw.
I'm going to tell you what exactly happened. We had a confrontation in the house. At that time, we went outside, and she didn't rush to no hospital. We went outside and fought 3 more times before she left.
Yes.
To tell you the truth. She didn't rush to no hospital.
Keep going.
The first time that they broke it up, she went outside and she was all mad and everything. So at that time, she was outside. She bust my window out with a baseball bat.
Just don't give me a long explanation. I want you to look through the police report and you tell me if anywhere in the police report you told the police that you saw her with your eyes break out your car window. Take a moment and look through the police report.
I already know
and
what
let
the
your
police
mother
report
help you.
says.
Put your hand down. I'm not interested in you.
I know what the police report says.
No.
I did. No, in the police report, no, I didn't. The police never showed up that night. They never came. That's why I was unable to tell them that.
At any place in the police report from the next day, 2 days later, 3 days later, because they add on to police reports, you know, when you make additional reports, any place, does it say that you told the police that you saw her break out your car window?
No, it doesn't.
Sorry, can't help you. Miss McIntosh, reluctantly, I am awarding you what you are requesting, which is $2,000, because you were, in fact, assaulted by Miss Sexton, and I believe that she threw the first punch. But I think that you probably were out of control, smitten with a loser who happens now to belong, at least temporarily, to Miss Sexton when he gets finished belonging to the state of Nebraska. Is your last name Sexton?
No.
What is your last name?
Buckley.
Miss Buckley, your daughter has made some serious errors in judgment. And I would hope that now that she's going to have a child, you try to inculcate into her some responsibility.
That was his judgment.
No, it was your judgment, Miss Sexton. It was your judgment to get yourself hooked up with and get pregnant by somebody who...
that respected me, that I didn't know anything about disrespecting me.
Oh, save me. Bird, get him outside, would you
Thank
please?
you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is case number 135 on the calendar in the matter of Totter versus Ferrier.
Totter, is that how you pronounce your name?
I'm going to say Toto.
Totter versus Ferrier. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Thanks, Bird.
You're welcome, Judge.
Mr. Ferrier is your former husband, is that right? Mm-hmm. And the co-defendant is his present wife. It is your claim that Mrs. Ferrier called your boss and made some slanderous remarks about you, which caused you a great deal of emotional distress, caused you to have to hire a lawyer, a whole bunch of other things. You want a whole bunch of money from the two of them because you think that they're both responsible. Your former husband and his wife say that you did in fact harass both of them, that they've suffered by having to lose wages because work-related absences, and they are counterclaiming. So I want you to tell me, this whole thing started over a $10 check, is that right? Mm-hmm. You have a child together with Mr. Ferrier.
Yes.
How old is that child?
Now he's 12 and a half.
And who has custody?
We have joint. I had full custody the first 11 years.
Is that right?
I have custody of him, Your Honor.
You have
physical custody.
We have
but
joint.
It's joint custody.
You have
But
joint legal. Shh, just a second. You have joint legal custody, but you have physical custody
Yes,
of him.
Your Honor.
Is that by court order?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about this check that you got back.
I found out
that you didn't get back.
I found out that I overpaid and
overpaid what?
On the medical bill.
You got a medical bill for your son.
Uh-huh.
What was the bill for?
$63.36.
Put the papers down, please. And you paid that bill.
Mm-hmm.
And then you found out that you had overpaid the bill, according to your complaint. How much did you overpay the bill?
$10.69.
Your insurance company sent back a check for $10.69. Who did they send the check to?
To his address.
In whose name was the check?
My son.
And your son's name is?
Shane Ferrier.
And what did Shane do with the check?
All I know is that they both signed it. My son signed it, and my ex-husband signed it.
And that started a problem?
I was very upset. I felt like they took something that didn't belong to them.
So what did you do?
I made a few phone calls.
How many is a few?
From the house that evening, October 7th, I don't remember how many.
More than 5?
I don't know. Maybe 3.
How many phone calls?
Your Honor, I can't remember how many phone calls. She called in the middle of the night. We changed our phone 3 times because of the harassment.
Well, did that start over this $10?
Yes.
Well, your right says no.
I'm
You
sorry.
say yes.
No, it started before. This started 12 years ago.
Okay, I'm just talking about this $10 check. So you made some phone calls from the house, Miss Toder, is that right?
Yeah, it was a few phone calls.
Well, what
And
did
it
you
was
say?
not-
Shh,
I'm
listen
sorry,
to me.
it was not in the middle of the night. It was after I came back from the job. It was after 5 p.m.
What did you say during these 3?
I told them that they're not decent people and they're teaching my son to be a thief.
Okay, that takes 1 phone call. What was the next phone call?
Same thing.
And the next one?
Same thing.
Well, that's harassment.
But it was the one
Shh,
case.
Just a second. I'm not finished with you. Then you went to work. And you called them again from work. Is that right?
Yeah.
How many times did you call them from work?
6 times in 2 days.
And what did you say to them in the 6 times you called them?
Probably the same thing. I was probably very upset
And
over the whole thing.
then Mrs. Ferrier, you called her boss.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said what to her boss?
I called her boss and I said that we were getting a lot of phone calls and I wanted him to talk to her.
About stopping calling during the
Yes,
day?
and he had no interest in any of it until he found out that they were coming from work.
Well, she admits now that they were coming from work.
So,
So that's what you told was that you were getting these harassing phone calls and they were coming during work hours.
Right.
That's what your lawsuit is about, Ms. Toder. You say that she made slanderous remarks against you to your boss, which caused you all kinds of trouble and aggravation and emotional distress. So tell me what kind of aggravation and emotional distress was
Can I
caused to
say
you.
something, Your Honor? She told them I made 100 phone calls from the job like 2 years ago.
I'm
2 years
talking
ago,
about,
they didn't
I'm
even
talking
have
about $10.69. I asked you a question. What kind of emotional distress do you believe that you suffered that they should compensate you for?
Okay, first of all, they took me to a drug test.
So, what does that have to do with her? Did
Because she doesn't know me. We never spoke to each other.
Listen to me. What does that have to do with her if you went for a drug test?
That's what she told them, that I was doing drugs.
Did you tell them that she was
No,
doing
ma'am.
drugs? What proof do you have that Miss Ferrier told them that you were using drugs?
Allegation number 4.
This doesn't say that Mr. or Mrs. Ferrier say that you continue to use marijuana, alcohol to an excess and abuse prescription drugs. It doesn't say that they said this about you. This says that they complained about harassing phone calls. And then another paragraph says it is further alleged that you are continuing to use marijuana, alcohol to excess, and abuse prescription drugs. Did you tell them that?
No,
The
I did not.
investigator told me that they did.
Well, I don't know. That's hearsay. Did you ever use marijuana?
No.
Did you ever use alcohol?
I drink alcohol, but I don't abuse it.
Well, Maybe. And what about prescription drugs? What drugs do you take?
I used to take Xanax.
And what else do you take?
I got something new after this attack started. I'm not sure the name of it.
You're not sure of the kind of drug you take?
No.
That's interesting.
I can't pronounce it.
Why are you laughing?
Just because Your Honor, I can't understand anybody that could take a prescription and not know the name of it.
Try to behave yourself.
Okay, Your Honor.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The rambling is of somebody who is using or overusing prescription drugs. It says that she's afraid that you're going to be abusive, but please take her son because she can't take care of him because he's out of control and she's going on her honeymoon.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shoshana Toder says ex-husband William Ferrier and his wife Kathy made false allegations to her employer. The Ferriers claim she harassed them over the phone.
Okay. And as a result of whatever allegations these were, mostly use of the telephone, what happened?
I was just upset, Your Honor.
Well, then you shouldn't have done what you did, madam.
I understand it. But
so then why are you here in court?
In the heat of the moment, because I had expenses.
Well, what does that have to do with court? You made a mistake. You made a mistake by calling, at least according to you, 9 times, all complaining because they cashed a $10.69 check that they received that was made out to your son, who I assume you support. Is that right?
No.
Well, if you don't support him, then why would you complain anyway if they cashed a $10.69?
I'm not supposed to support him yet.
Listen to me. You are a parent. You're supposed to support him. He's not in your custody.
I understand.
If he's not in your custody, then you're supposed to support him. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you're off the hook. If you were a man standing over here and saying, I'm not supposed to support him yet, what does that mean? You're the parent. Did you pay support when the child lived with her?
Yes.
How much?
He's a deadbeat, by the way.
How much?
$500 a month, Your Honor, the maximum amount. She asked for $1,100, and the judge told her no.
I don't ask. Did I ask you to editorialize for me, sir?
No, you didn't.
Good. So, and you pay, I don't care how much you paid. If you didn't pay $500, you paid $300, you paid $300, you paid $200. You pay nothing. So if you pay nothing, and if you're just angry that your son went to live with his father.
No, I'm really not angry, Your Honor.
Then you shouldn't have been angry over a $10.69 check.
Your Honor, I'm not angry about him because I know my ex-husband wanted it, and my son came to me and told me, Mom, I was with you for 11 years, now I want to be with Dad. So I said, okay. I was going to fight for him, but when he told me that, I said, okay, go to your dad and be happy. But she's not happy about that. She doesn't want to raise a 7th kid.
Listen to me, madam. I don't know why you came to court. You did the wrong thing, causing you to have expenses, then you have to pay for them. If you wanted to call up and speak to your ex-husband once and say, listen, I understand that you got this check for $10.69. That check really belonged to me because I paid...
I can't communicate with him, Your Honor.
Hey, I'm speaking to you. You called 9 times. You were harassing them. I said if you called once and said it, that was one thing. That's not what you told me.
He hung up on me. I can't talk to him. Ever since they got married.
Then that means he didn't want to talk to you.
Well, that doesn't help my kid.
Then write him a letter. What good does it do to you for you to harass him on the telephone?
That was not meant as harassment.
Well, I'm telling you, it's harassment. So you have no case. Now, let's turn to you.
Your Honor, what I've gone through, I have had more temporary restraining orders filed by Mrs. Toder, or Miss Toder, my former ex-wife, or my ex-wife. And she has taken me to court, and when we were in front of the judge in Las Vegas, she didn't show up for the temporary restraining order. Twice she didn't. Or no, the first time she showed up...
This is the restraining orders that she took out against you.
She's using the court as a form of harassment, and she's been doing it to me for a long time.
Speak.
What happened is when she took me in front of the judge said, well, do you want to continue? Do you feel he's...
Hearsay. What the judge said to you was hearsay unless you have a document from the court.
I do.
Let me see.
I have a document.
Good. Let me see it.
Not for the first one. I have one for the second one that she never showed up for. okay? And she said she was on her honeymoon. And that's what I'm talking about. Here she even writes, is this it here? She writes in here that I'm going to be on my honeymoon, so I can't even make it to the court hearing. I believe it's this one here.
So what do you want me to do?
Well, I'm just saying, this is what I'd like her to be able to stop using the court as a form of harassment, because she's had me in court so many times, and I always feel like I'm the defendant and that I have to defend myself.
Well, you are the defendant now, sir.
In courts. I didn't even want to be here today, even though you're a fine person, but this is not where I want to spend my time in court.
I absolutely got it. Was she granted a temporary restraining order as a result of this application?
No, Your Honor, she wasn't.
She was not.
She was denied.
Of course she was. Of course she was, because there is no basis for it in her application. There's no basis for her to get a temporary restraining order based upon what she alleges here. It's the ramblings of somebody who is using or overusing prescription drugs. Go ahead.
Your Honor, that's what I'm saying, that she's using the court as a form of harassment.
Okay, there is absolutely no basis for her to get an order of protection based upon what she writes in here. It's a lot of garbage. It says that she's afraid that you're going to be abusive, but she wants you to take her son because she can't take care of him because he's out of control, and she's going on her honeymoon. Go ahead.
Your Honor, he's doing very well in school now.
Tell me what you want.
We want the court, her not to be able to use the court to drag me through.
Mr. Ferrier, all too often people abuse the system, and they take time away from cases that need court time because they got their own personal shtick that they want to take care of. Now, your ex-wife came here to court, and if it wasn't this court, it would have been someplace else, because she was complaining that she had expenses and embarrassment as a result of your wife calling her boss. She caused the problem. She harassed you. She called time after time after time to complain about the cashing of this $10.69 check. By the way, what did you do with that money? Did you have it?
My son kept the money, and he even called her and offered to do chores for her to pay her back, and she said, no, I want your father to pay it back. And I said, no, I'm not paying it back.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead. Shh. Go ahead.
Okay, on May 14, I had a chat with him for the first time in a year. And all I want is really to communicate with him, you know, regarding our son. But ever since he got married, I don't feel that I can. He either hangs up on me, she hangs up on me, or whatever. And I asked him about contacting my job, and I said, Sean, why did you contact my job? And he said to me, I had nothing to do with it. And I said, Sean, your name is on it. And he said, I had to keep my wife happy. I think that's a lame excuse to keep the wife happy, so.
You did the wrong thing. Stop blaming everybody else. You had no right to call their home 3 times. I guarantee it was a lot more. You have the tape?
We have tapes of what she said, Your Honor.
Well, let me hear them. Let me hear them.
I'm not denying it, that I made these phone calls.
They're a little nastier than what you said.
You're nasty, Sean.
I don't slander.
I can't hear it. Can you bring it up here, please?
He's very cute.
I never denied I made these phone calls.
Well, they get real nice.
Could you please be quiet?
Yes, Your Honor.
How low can you get, John? How much lower? I want to see how much lower can you get to us. Yeah, this message. Sean, you know that was very indecent of you. Sheindlin signed over the check to me. I'm the one who takes the bill, okay? But that's okay, because all your letters that you get from credit companies, I spread them. So the penalty is going every year. You want to be with me? I'll be with you. And this message. Indecent of you. Sheindlin signed over the check to me. I'm the one who takes the bill, okay? But that's okay, because all your letters that you get from credit companies, I spread them. So the
That's a repeat.
I think that's a repeat.
That's a repeat. Okay.
I never denied I made this phone call.
I want to tell you something. You just acknowledged on that tape a federal crime. Do you understand that? If you're getting mail of his from credit card companies and shredding it, that's a federal crime. That's
I'm not doing.
I'm speaking to you.
I'm not getting his mail.
I'm speaking to you. That's what you said you did on the tape.
Wanted to put him off. I don't get his mail.
You got it, madam. That's what you wanted to do. And you succeeded. And so stop standing here complaining and abusing the courts again. Your case is dismissed. And all I can tell you is I'm not going to be able to stop her from filing these frivolous claims. It's going to have to be a judge in your jurisdiction that has some chutzpah. All right? You thought I was going to say it, didn't you? Who's going to say to her, you come in 9 o'clock in the morning, you wait until 5 o'clock till the end of my calendar every time you want to file a petition. You come in, you explain to me what you want to file, you explain to me why, and I'll see if I'm going to give you permission to file that case. Until you get a judge that's going to be able to say that she's going to continue to abuse the system. But I find it offensive when someone abuses the system, they abuse me. Because they're abusing the other people. When she came in and filed this piece of garbage that took time away from a clerk to fill out papers, her papers, other people were waiting. They had to wait an extra hour or two because she was filing this piece of trash. And then it took time from a judge to hear it.
He told me to buy a life vest. I mean,
I'm telling you to, and I'm telling you better. I'm telling you to get a life. Your case is dismissed. So's your counterclaim. I've given you my best advice. Goodbye.
Excuse you. Yeah, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Turner versus Montoya. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Turner, you look very angry, sir.
Yes, I am.
Life is short, Mr. Turner. This gentleman here is your daughter's ex-boyfriend. This is your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful girl. How old are you?
21.
How long were you and Miss Turner dating?
Approximately 4 years.
And how old are you, Mr. Montoya?
26.
And during the 4 or so years that you were dating Miss Turner, I assume that you did not have a positive relationship with her father.
Not at all. Since the beginning, he never gave me a chance.
How many daughters do you have, Mr. Turner?
I have 2. I have a 13-year-old also.
Nobody's ever good enough for your daughter, right?
That's correct.
I got it. Because your lawsuit really is pretty silly. When I read it.
I agree.
When I read it and I saw you and I saw your daughter, I said, this lawsuit is more than just about a cell phone that you say that Mr. Montoya stole that you had given to your daughter, because this is what this lawsuit is about. Your claim is that he had a fight with your daughter, which was really, according to you, pretty serious. You know, he ripped her dress, according to you. He rammed into her car, according to you. He stole a cell phone. He attacked her at home. All of those bad things. And all I'm hearing is your lawsuit is for $265.49 because you claim that he stole a cell phone that you had given your daughter.
Yes, he...
Okay. So now I want you to tell me why you're suing this man for $265 for a cell phone. First, when did you give your daughter the cell phone?
Well, it was my phone. I gave it to her that evening when she was going to go to a modeling shooting.
But it was your phone?
Yes.
Your number, it was regularly in your possession. You just lent it to her that night.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. And you don't exactly know what happened that evening because you weren't there.
No.
But your daughter was?
Yes.
What night did you have the last fight with your boyfriend?
It was around the end of July. I don't remember the exact date.
Do you know Mr. Turner?
It was the 27th.
Tell me what happened.
We got into a big argument because I wanted to go to a modeling convention and he wanted to go, but I didn't want him to go.
He didn't want to go?
No, I didn't want him.
You wanted to go to a modeling convention?
Yeah, and he wanted to go, but I didn't want him to go.
Oh, he wanted to go with you?
Yeah.
He's worried. Right?
Was.
You were worried at that time?
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
So you like to sort of keep an eye on your girl?
She's a pretty girl. I want to keep an eye on her.
Right. Bird, do me a favor. Would you just change position over there and step in between these two people? I would appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so he wanted to go with you. You said, stay home, and you got into an argument.
Correct.
Go ahead.
So he said he'll make sure I won't go, so that's when he ripped my dress. But he just ripped like a long slit in it where it'll show my underwear, so I couldn't wear the dress. But
did you do that?
Yeah, I admit to that. That's true.
So I changed outfits, and I still decided to go.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes.
How long had you been living together?
We lived together for a year.
For how long didn't your father approve of this arrangement? Long time?
He didn't mind that we were living together, just towards the end when a lot of arguments and things were going on. Him and Mr. Montoya were friends at one point.
But not recently?
Correct.
So what happened next?
So I went to the service station and he was there, and while I was pumping gas, he took my dad's cell phone and I asked Montoya to return it to me, and he just got in the car and left.
Totally untrue.
What did you do?
I didn't even see her at any gas station. And I have one comment to make. They said that this occurred on the 27th, I believe, her or her dad just said. I have a written statement that she wrote right here which says that it occurred on August 3rd.
Let me see.
All these allegations are totally unfalse.
Are totally unfalse?
Totally untrue, I mean, sorry. Mr. Turner has a restraining order against me. And basically, ever since he received this restraining order against me, he's been doing everything possible to try to get me thrown in jail.
You have a child together?
Yes.
Yes.
How old is your child?
He's 2.
Who is he living with now?
He's living with me.
And who are you living with?
My father.
Now, sir, did she call the police when you ripped her dress?
No.
She could have.
She could have.
Right? Because that's a violent act.
Okay,
right?
but...
Right? It's a violent act. She could have.
True.
And she didn't. Why do you think she would lie to me and tell me that you came to the gas station and you took her cell phone?
Because she lives with her dad, and basically what he says goes. She told me that she's going to say whatever her dad says to say because he'll kick her out the home. And he has a restraining order against me when we got into a physical fight. Ever since then, she told me also that he said, well, be careful because my dad feels that you got the best of him, so therefore he's doing anything to get you thrown in jail. He called and said I followed him to the airport. He called and said I followed him to work. He said I flattened his tires. He's just been making all these false statements to get me thrown in jail.
Do you have, Mr. Montoya, a bad temper?
No, I do not.
Well, you have to have a bad temper if you ripped her clothes.
I didn't want to put our business out there, but that day she was basically punching me in my face, scratching me, kicking me.
Why?
And all I did was rip their dress.
Why was she doing that to you?
I think I held myself pretty good.
Why was she doing that to you? Why was she assaulting you?
She was upset between all the things me and her dad had been going through. Because we got into a fight. All this happened before that. And I was in the process of moving. Just my things were there, so I would come back occasionally.
Oh, so you were moving out of the residence?
Yes, I was.
I see. So you were not getting along to begin with. Now, you were not getting along. You're in the process of moving out. But you come home to pick up some of your stuff, and you find that she's going to some modeling class or something. And according to you, you want to go with her. What business was it of yours that she wanted to go someplace that day, that you wanted to be her chaperone?
You're right. That's none of my business. But we're here on a cell phone. We're not here on her dress being ripped.
We hear about what happened that day, sir. And what happened that day and all the surrounding circumstances, because you're not going to say to me, yes, Judge, you're absolutely right. I took the cell phone. You say, I didn't take the cell phone. She says you did take the cell phone. So I have to make a determination, Mr. Montoya, as to whether or not all of the circumstances of that day point to the fact that you did, in fact, take the phone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You rip her dress, she goes inside, she changes her dress, walks out of the house, leaving you standing there. And what you're telling me is, well, you just said, okay, I guess she wants to go all by herself and she doesn't want to go with me.
And later today,
I had a sick feeling in my gut that he was cheating on me. I suffer from PMS and I maybe overreacted.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eugene Turner says his daughter's ex-boyfriend, Ron Montoya, stole his cell phone. Ron says Eugene has never liked him.
Now, I have to make a judgment. And my judgment has to be, which of the two of you is telling the most cogent story? Which of the two of you is telling the story that makes the most common sense? And when I said to you, why would she not complain about, or not complain to the police, at least, about you ripping her dress or you coming and making a scene at the gas station? But she does say, I want the cell phone back. I just don't want to have anything to do with them anymore. I just want the cell phone back. As opposed to the story that you're telling me You said, I want to go with you to the modeling class or to the modeling course or whatever it was, and she says, no, you're not going. You have an argument. You rip her dress. She goes inside. She changes her dress, walks out of the house anyway, leaving you standing there. And what you're telling me is, well, you just said, okay, I guess she wants to go all by herself and she doesn't want to go with me. That's what you want me to believe.
Yes,
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
We have a police report too, Your Honor.
Let me see it.
Does he even have proof that he has a cell phone? Does he have a cell phone bill or anything of that nature?
Yes, I do.
Shh. Just, you don't have to answer him. I'm the one who marshals the evidence.
I still need to get over here.
I would if I were you.
Okay.
So this is the report you made to the police, sir. I want you to listen. Maybe this will jog your memory. How do you pronounce your first name?
Shainique.
Shainique told me that Ron, I assume that's you, followed her to the Arco gas station located in the area of Heacock and Postal. She drove into the gas station, and when she got out to pay for the gas, Ron jumped into her car. He grabbed her father's cell phone. Ron began checking the phone's history to determine what calls she had received. Stop smirking, sir. She told him to get out of the car. Ron maintained possession of the cell phone, got out of the car and ran towards his car, which was parked nearby in the same parking lot. Shainique followed Ron on foot in an attempt to retrieve her father's cell phone. He refused to give her the phone. She went to call on a nearby payphone. As she dialed 911, she told Ron that she was calling the police. He took the phone from her and hung up. She tried dialing again, and again he took the phone from her and hung up. Any of that sound familiar?
None of it rings a bell.
None of it rings a bell. Okay. At that time, Mr. Attorney, the police were told that the value of your cell phone was $100.
Yes, but when I went into T-Mobile to get the exact replaced value, they gave me a receipt and it was $219.
Let me see. Okay. Mr. Matoya, now I know that you're going to leave here thinking that I've been very unfair to you, that there was no proof, as you say, that you stole the telephone. It's my job to determine who is telling the truth and who is fibbing. And based upon common sense and based upon what I've seen in the police report, I determined that you're the fibber. So you have to pay him $215. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. May step out. I'm back to you, right, please.
Apparently, Mr. Matoya is a compulsive liar.
Everything's untrue, and it's just total lies.
I clapped my daughters through with the bomb.
I got the best of him in the fight, physical fight that he started, so it's all revenge.
I'm just happy with the decision, and she can see that Ron's a liar.
You live and you learn. That's life.
We just stay positive and keep in a positive direction.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fogg versus Hanson, step forward, please.
John Fogg is suing his ex-roommate, Carol Hanson, for the return of his belongings and stolen money. Carol claims they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and John cheated.
Mr. Fogg, I gather that you moved into the defendant's home when you lost your prior residence. And according to Miss Hanson, you had a sort of a relationship. She wakes up one morning and finds you not home. She got very angry. She took all your stuff and she brought it to a friend's house, according to you, and you did that about 4:30 in the morning?
Approximately.
So tell me, what day were you unceremoniously evicted from Miss Hanson's home?
August 22nd.
How long had you been there?
3 months, approximately, Your Honor.
Were you a tenant? Were you paying rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have your own room?
Yes.
And where were you on August 22nd?
I was with my daughter.
Decided to spend the night at your daughter's house?
No, I didn't stay there. I went to the gun club and stayed there. They have a pool table and...
Why?
They belonged to the gun club. I didn't want to go home because she had wrote me a letter. On the 21st, she wrote me a letter that she loved me. And that left me a little apprehensive because she prefers women over men. And I didn't want to be involved in that situation.
Go ahead.
The letter came in on the 21st. On the 22nd, I got a cell phone at 4:50 when I answered it. At 4:50 in the morning, my things were thrown out. And also...
Just a second. The cell phone message was that your things were on the lawn?
They were on the porch at my friend's house.
You were taking them over to a friend of his?
Yes, I packed his belongings. very neatly in bags.
Why did you do that?
Because he is a neat freak.
I'm asking, I know why you might do it, that he's a neat freak, but if you were angry because according to your answer, you thought he was cheating on you.
Yes.
So if you were angry, how neatly did you pack up his stuff?
I did pack them neatly. I didn't roll them in balls or anything like that. I had a sick feeling in my gut that he was cheating on me. A feeling that I felt in the past when ex-boyfriends have cheated on me. He didn't come home all night, did not call.
Why didn't you just wait for him to come home and tell him to move?
Because I was afraid that he would charm his way back in. And I was afraid of risking disease.
Disease from what?
Diseases from sexually transmitted diseases.
Well, there's one way to avoid that.
Well, we didn't use condoms in the past.
I don't want to get so personal, Miss Hanson. I just want to explain to you that all you have to do is wait for him to come home, tell him to get his things out of the house. You don't have to have sex with him in order to tell him to do that. But you don't pack up his things in the middle of the night and go and put them on somebody's porch.
In my defense, I suffer from PMS and I maybe overreacted.
Fine. What items do you claim are missing, Mr. Fogg?
Several pairs of cufflinks, which I have pictures of. 2 rings that were in my suit jacket. The OxyContin.
What were your rings doing in a suit jacket?
Because when I left the other premises, I had to take, and it wasn't uncommon for me to put 2 rings in the suit jacket. I had pills, suit jacket, $500. Apparently what I'm thinking is when she moved the clothing, she must have heard the pills inside, and she went through that. The love letter was in there also, and it's all gone.
You said there was cash missing. Where was the cash?
It was in the pocket, because she always would go through my drawers. The drawers that I had, I would put pieces of candy wrappers in. Okay, and every time I come home, the candy wrappers weren't there. So she was always in the drawer. So what I did was, I went to the closet and had one inside the hinge. Those were never removed, so I put everything in there. Now, on the other hand, when I went to the police station, which I have reports here, on the 31st, because I was in enough trouble, I didn't want to have any problems with the police.
What do you mean you were in enough trouble?
Well, prior restraining order.
Against you?
Yes.
What did she say you did?
She claims that I pulled her hair in July, and she went to court 9803 saying I pulled her hair in July.
Did you pull her hair in July?
No.
Did you do it in June?
No, I never pulled her hair. If you read the report, it's a joke.
Report, please. Oh, yeah, I thought this was going to be easy. How much after you got this message on August 22nd that your stuff was being tossed did you respond to the location, Mr. Fogg?
I did the next day.
So, of course, it's possible that someone else took your property.
Well, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
It's possible that somebody else took your property. Isn't that right, Ms. Hanson? Well, after you threw it out.
Yes.
That's possible. You're still responsible. Whether you took it, Ms. Hanson, or whether somebody else took it, you're responsible.
Well, 10 days later, he showed up with a police officer, which the officer told him that he would not be charging me and he could just fill out a missing items report.
Of course he was not going to charge you. He's not charging you with necessarily stealing it because there's not enough proof to establish that you stole these items, and I don't think that you probably did steal the items.
I did.
You may have, but I don't think you did. Certainly he can't prove that you did. However, he's a paying tenant. You cannot take his stuff and throw it out. And if you do, and if some of his items become missing or stolen by somebody else, you, Ms. Hanson, are responsible because the law says you may not do what you did. The law does not recognize PMS as an excuse for bad behavior. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's
Thank you, Your Honor.
Woman, stay away.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pettigrew, Ray versus Alexander. Step forward, please.
Daycare provider Denise Ray and her children, 13-year-old Jaquan Pettigrew and 10-year-old Ebony Pettigrew, are suing former friend, 55-year-old school teacher William Alexander, for the return of 2 $1,000 savings bonds.
Ms. Ray, according to your complaint, you've known the defendant for most of your life. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's been sort of a mentor to you and to your family. According to him, he even raised one of your children. Is that right?
No, not necessarily.
Well, what do you mean not necessarily? You had 3 children?
Yes, I did.
An older boy?
Yes.
Did the oldest boy live with you continuously until he reached the age of 18?
No.
Who did he live with?
The defendant.
Right. Well, that's what I said.
Okay.
According to you, there came a time several years ago when you came into some money as a result of a claim because of the earthquake
Yeah.
in California. You had a couple of $1,000, and you wanted to put aside some of that money for your children.
Yeah.
So you asked the defendant to get savings bonds for your 3 children.
Yes.
How much money did you give him to get the savings bonds?
$1,500.
$1,500. So
Yes.
you wanted a $500 savings bond for each of your 3 children.
Yes.
Now, one of the children, the oldest child, whose name is?
Edward.
Edward. Did Edward get his bond?
He's here, yes.
Edward,
Yeah.
did you get your bond?
Yeah.
From Mr. Alexander.
Yeah.
That leaves 2 $500 bonds left.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
That Mr. Alexander is holding for your children. And you want?
The bonds double value, Your Honor, to $1,000.
Well, when did you give him the money?
In 94.
Okay.
August 8th. Well, approximately August 8th.
Okay.
1994.
Where are the bonds, Mr. Alexander?
I have them here, and they were
May
purchased.
I see them, please?
Yes.
Sir. Sir.
Okay. And they were purchased August 11th, 1994.
3 days off.
Well, they are $1,000 bonds.
Yes.
In the names of the children or Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Tell me why you want these bonds now. Tell me why you want to hold them for your children.
Because I want no more dealings with Mr. William Alexander. Of course, I know some statements were made in his statement regarding my lifestyle at the time. I'm not in denial anymore. Yes, I had a substance abuse history. But the thing about it, what led up to my substance abuse history was kept hidden in the dark for years.
Was that his fear? And was that your fear? Is that
was
why
my
you
fear.
gave him the money to buy the bonds for the children rather than buying them yourself?
No, at the time that we were to purchase the bonds, I didn't have Edward's social security number. The day that we were at the bank purchasing the bonds, I filled out all the original paperwork with my name as payee for these children until they turned 18 for these bonds. Mr. Alexander asked me to let him hold the money and the paperwork until that following Monday. I says, okay, I'll trust you. Come that following week, when I asked Mr. Alexander for the bonds or my money, he told me he wasn't giving them to me.
I assume that you let him hold these bonds all of these years because you trusted him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You
and then-
trusted him, and he certainly did everything that he could to live up to that trust because here are the bonds. He hasn't done anything with them. Here they are.
Okay, but Your Honor, it's more to the story than... I don't want no more dealings with Mr. Alexander. Mr. Alexander is...
Don't want any more dealings with Mr. Alexander. Do you have a problem with her holding the bonds for the children?
No, I don't have a problem at all.
Fine. Good.
Okay.
Because she really can't cash them
No,
because they are for either of the children or you.
exactly.
So if she went in to cash the bonds, she could not cash them. These bonds are going to have to sit there until the children reach their majority.
I gave the bonds to her last year when she asked, and she became angry because I wouldn't sign them over. I said, if you want the bonds, you may keep the bonds until the children are 18. It's their money.
Right.
No.
No what?
Your Honor. No, he did not.
Okay, well, no, just so we don't have a problem anymore.
I want my bonds changed over to their godmother.
No. You can't have that. Period. I'm not doing that. You can hold your children's bonds because that's what you want to do. If you feel as if you have a safe place in your home or if you have a bank vault, you can take the bonds and put them there and wait for your children to reach their majority, and then you give them the bonds, and at that time they should be even worth more than $1,000.
Exactly.
Because it's a while. How old are you?
10.
And you?
13.
13. Well, got a way to go. These are going to be worth a lot more than $1,000.
But I paid for those bonds.
So what? Well, what do you want me to do?
I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't want nothing.
You don't have anything to do with
but
it,
his
madam.
name is on them.
You're absolutely right, which means that you cannot cash them. The only thing that means is you cannot cash them. These are for the children. This is what you intended it for. You intended these bonds for the children.
But I didn't intend for his name to be on them, Your Honor.
Well, then don't look at them. Don't look at them. Put them away, and when your children reach the age of 18, you give each of your children a bond. One of the children should have about $2,000.
So they don't need his assistance for anything, right?
No, to do these?
I just
Absolutely
don't want him in my
not.
children's life, period.
Listen to me. All this says is Ebony or William. Means either one of them can sign these bonds, but Ebony can't do it until she's 18.
Okay.
Yes.
And Juwan can't do it until he's 18. Other than that, these are your children's bonds. Perfect. We've just resolved this case. Okay. Give her the bonds.
Whatever.
Mr. Alexander, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You don't have control of that.
Parties are excused. Yeah, it's case number 352 on the calendar in the matter of Gray versus Lewis. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
All right, this is like a little soap opera here. I really think I'm going to start with you, Miss Lewis, and get some background information. The lawsuit involves your claim, Miss Gray, that the defendant, who is your husband's niece, had you falsely arrested for stalking. You want to be compensated for that false arrest and for all the money that you spent, lawyers' fees, time, and emotional distress. From what I gather, and I'm trying to piece together the information that you put in your complaint, you saw the plaintiff getting into another man's car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did you see this?
In a county near my grandmother's house at a gas station.
Tell me what you either saw or thought you saw.
Okay, we were the last ones at the gas station, and it's like a rural gas station in a little county, and we were pumping gas. The lights were out because we were the last ones there. They were closing up. We saw the defendant coming.
No, plaintiff. She's the plaintiff today.
I'm sorry. The plaintiff riding in her car, and she didn't see us at first. We were just standing there pumping gas, and when she saw us, she backed out, and when she was about to leave the parking lot, a car rolled up with a male in it, and they exchanged a few words, and they left together following each other. So we were en route to our house.
Who were you traveling with?
My mother, my sister, and my little brother. And we saw her pass in the other direction. She was in the passenger side of the guy's car. So my mom got upset, and she turned the car around and went back to my grandmother's house where my uncle was.
Your uncle, who was her husband?
Yes, ma'am. And my mom...
Were they living together at the time? Everything was happy?
No.
So they were separated?
No, not legally. She comes and goes when she wants to.
But they were not living together full-time as man and wife?
No.
Okay. So you and your mom go back to your grandmother's house where your uncle is.
Yes.
Her husband.
Yes.
Estranged husband. And you tell him what you saw.
Well, my mother got out the car and told what she saw.
And then what happened?
He came out because he had the baby, because she said she was too ill to watch the baby and take care of the baby. And he left the baby with my grandmother, got in his car, and sped down the road.
And then what happened?
And he called us later that night and told us what had happened when he saw her getting out of the guy's car. And
what happened when he saw you?
First, he accused me of cheating. He shoved me going towards the friend that I was with. Then he approached him and started calling me all sorts of names, and he was about to fight him. So I had to stand in front of him so he wouldn't hit my friend.
When were you arrested?
They sent me in a mail a paper saying if I do not turn myself in, that they will arrest me, come and arrest me at my home.
What do you claim she did to you that caused you to file the police report?
Okay, after she had a confrontation with my uncle called me and told me what happened. The next morning, Miss Gray called me at my home. I didn't tell my uncle anything my mom told her. I didn't even speak to my uncle when he called that night. So she called me the next day. We had been friends. I was the only one in my family willing to accept her and her child into my family. Everyone else didn't want to accept her. So I wasn't mad that she was cheating on my uncle, because I really don't get in their business. She called me, she threatened me, she said that she was going to kill me, my daughter, and the rest of my family because we're a bunch of bees and everything. And I was like, Joy, you're crazy. Stop calling my house. I hung up with her. She called back and proceeded to curse me out. And I'm like, you know what? You're making threats, and I'm tired of you making threats. So I was like, you better be careful what you say. And she was like, I'm going to kill you, and she hung up the phone. I called my uncle right then immediately because she has a medical condition that affects her hormones, and they said that it affects her mind sometimes when she doesn't take her medicine. So I called my uncle to make him aware of what his wife was doing, and he said, don't worry about her. I'll take care of her because she needs her medicine. And I'm like, okay. I didn't pay her any mind. So the next morning after she made the phone call, I come out my door into my parking lot, and I put my daughter in my car. She's across the parking lot in her car, waiting in her car, looking at me. And I knew it was her because she has personalized license plates. So I just got in my car, and I proceeded out my parking lot. She followed me 10 miles up the road to my mom's house, and she proceeded down the road as I turned into my mom's driveway. And I went in the house and told my mom about the situation, and she said, don't worry about it, just go to work. Later that night, I hear a loud bang on my door. I live by myself with my daughter. And I get up. My daughter's crying because she woke up because of the noise. And I get up, look out my window, and I don't see anything. I open my door, and then I see her across the parking lot with her lights on, and then she speeds out the parking lot. So that night, in fear of not knowing what she's going to do because she has to take medicine because she has a chemical imbalance with her hormones and everything. And so I left and went down to the magistrate office and filed a police report. And I said, and when I originally went there, I just wanted a protective order. I didn't want her anywhere around me. He said in order to get a protective order, I must file charges. So he filed charges for stalking.
Do you have the police report?
No, I don't have the police report, but I have when we went to court and what happened at court and everything.
Okay. Well, just hold on to that for a second. So you were notified in the mail that you had to turn yourself in?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you given a trial date?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the trial date? You were arraigned first?
Yes, ma'am, on the 25th.
Okay,
And
but you were allowed to go home?
yes, ma'am.
So on the 25th of April, you were arraigned. Did you make another appearance in court after
Yes,
the 25th? When?
It was later on that May 26th, I believe.
Was that your last court appearance?
Yes, ma'am.
So on May 26th, the case was resolved.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a lawyer?
Yeah, a court-appointed lawyer.
They're still lawyers?
Yes, ma'am.
So you had a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
And you discussed the case with the lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what happened in court, Miss Gray?
Yes, ma'am. He came up and
Who's he?
My lawyer and the district attorney, they went up and they said that both parties have agreed not to come in contact with one another. And then I didn't have to come to any court dates. I called and they said the case was dismissed. Well, it will be dismissed on June 3rd.
So the case is not dismissed yet?
That's
as
right.
long as we stay away from each other.
No,
yes, ma'am.
that's not what it says.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Grace says her niece, Vivica Lewis, had her falsely arrested for stalking. Vivica says after she caught her aunt cheating with another man, Kimberly threatened to kill her.
Can I see the piece of paper that you have, please?
Your Honor, I would like to point out
Certified by
that
the court.
I made a complaint against them on the 24th of March, and how convenient her stalking was to mine, because they did follow me to my home, because I got my friend to take me home. They drove up behind me, and they pulled in the driveway. But as we were traveling to my home, they were honking the horn, flashing their lights, and they were on our bumper. So when I got to my home, they came up and pulled behind me. They pulled out, and they was at my driveway, and she yelled out she was gonna beat my A, and that I got you now, B. And then she was saying something else to my friend, and I walked in my house to get my dad. And by the time I got him out the house, they were gone. And my police report was filed on the 24th, and I called the police at 9:33 in the morning. So it was no way in the world that I could call her.
True.
I have the police
Ms.
report.
Gray, I want you to pay careful attention to
Yes, ma'am.
On the 26th of May, according to these papers, you entered a plea of nolo contendere, which means you pled no contest to the charges.
Ma'am.
And you were ordered by the court to pay costs.
Yes, ma'am.
As a result of your plea of no contest, and the protective order that was issued in favor of the defendant. And I am certain that your lawyer explained to you that a plea of nolo contendere, no contest, is the same as a plea of guilty.
Ma'am.
Did your lawyer explain that
No,
to you?
ma'am, we
Well,
never
he should
discussed.
have. He or
We
she
never discussed pleading guilty or not guilty. Because I told him at the trial, I was like, I'm not pleading guilty for something that I didn't do. He said, ma'am, you're not pleading guilty because you're coming into agreement that you're not going to mess with the defendant anymore. I was like, sir, I did not do this. And they should have it on court record that I said it to him because I said it out loud in court.
All I can tell you is what I read in the certificate of disposition of the case. And your case is what we call adjourned in contemplation of dismissal, which means it's not dismissed yet. But if you, as I said, stay away from her, then the case will be dismissed and the order of protection lifted. So you have no civil claim against her, Miss Gray.
Ma'am,
you have no civil
I'm sorry,
case
I didn't know.
against her.
I did not know.
As long as you pled what is equivalent to a guilty plea, which is a plea of no contest. You should have gone to trial, maybe, and pled not guilty and continued to go to trial. Maybe your case would have been dismissed. If it was dismissed, then you might have a civil suit against her, but you didn't. You pled no contest. Is this your husband?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. This is a friend that I was with on the time that she said that I was stalking her, and and he was there.
Are you separated from your husband now?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's your child?
He's with me. I got full custody of my son.
That's not true either.
Yes, ma'am.
They haven't even filed for separation papers. He kicked her out because she doesn't want to clean, cook, or nothing. And she took the baby with her.
That's not usually a reason.
No, because
I'd be out on the streets.
She takes all the money out the bank. He had a down payment, you know, and that's why they just back and forth.
Where's the child?
With me.
With her, living with her, but they haven't been to court for custody or anything.
Okay. Does your husband see the child?
No, ma'am. He comes like once in a blue moon, so he does not come see him. He does not pay anything for him.
That's a lie. He has an order to pay her $200 a month for the child.
I didn't even get this. I'm sorry. This is
what you are. That's what you have said. She's had contact with me. I'm just going off what she said to me.
Then they have to have been to court.
Listen
to me.
Or not.
Well, I'm telling you, if he has a child support order of $200 a month, which is what you're telling me, then they have to have been to court, and your brother has an order to pay support, and I assume visitation, which he certainly should avail himself of.
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Good. Stay away from her.
I haven't been near her.
Perfect.
Thanks.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It went fairly, and she's crazy. She needs some treatment.
I don't understand how would she lie and say all these things and they weren't true.
We don't really want to have anything to do. She's trying to force herself upon us.
I have had problems with them ever since I got with my husband.
We don't want to have anything to do with her because she lies so bad.
She had no right to follow me. I wasn't with my husband. He had a girlfriend.
She's a liar. I just hate the fact that she lies.
Don't get mixed up with crazy family.
I just wasn't going to have it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Torres. Step forward, please.
23-year-old air traffic controller Christine Brown is suing her former friend, 23-year-old independent contractor Jason Torres, for an unpaid loan to get his car out of the shop.
Miss Brown, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of some $434.
Yes, Your Honor.
That loan, you say, was made so that he could get his car out of the repair shop. The defendant acknowledges that you gave him $434. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And says it was a gift that you insisted upon giving him. That's your defense.
Yes.
Okay. How do you know each other, Miss Brown?
We met about 4 years ago.
You were
we
friends?
Just friends. And I trusted him. So on March 20th, when we were talking on the phone, he told me that he needed $400 to get his car out of the shop. And I told him the only way I would give him $400 was if he would pay me back that weekend, because I didn't get paid for another week and a half, and I only had $400 in my account. So he promised me that he would pay me back by Sunday, the whole $400.
What's the $34 for?
That's just a service charge for the Western Union.
Where was he living and where were you living?
He was living in North Hollywood, ma'am, and I was living on base in Lemoore, California.
You are in the armed forces?
Navy, yes, ma'am.
And he was supposed to pay you back on Sunday. Were you supposed to see him on that Sunday?
I was actually supposed to see him on Friday. We talked on the phone Thursday after I wired him the money. He told me he got it, and he told me that we were going to go out on Friday night, and he would have half of the money for me. So I called him Friday night, and he never answered his cell phone. He was never home. And I tried calling him Saturday. I went to his house. His family said he wasn't there. And Sunday came around. I went to his house again. I called him continuously on his cell phone. He never answered it, and he was never on his home. So I went back to the base, and I never heard from him again.
Mr. Torres, you tell me how this money was transferred to you, sir.
She wired me the money through Western Union.
How did she know how much money you needed?
Because I had told her when we were at dinner a
So
few
you were
nights
out at dinner.
before.
When?
Yes. I don't remember what night it was, but we had spoken on the phone. She came down and told me she wanted to see me. She picked me up and we went to dinner.
And tell me about how the conversation came about this money that you needed for the car.
Well, she asked me where my car was, and I had explained to her that I had gotten in a car accident and that I would be getting my car out of impound. Not impound, out of the shop as soon as I had the rest of the amount, because my deductible was about $1,000, and I only had about $600 of that.
Okay. And what did she say to you?
She offered me the money.
What did she say?
She said, I can give you the money.
And what did you say?
I said, thank you, but no thank you. And then she insisted that
what did she say?
She said, I insist that you take the money. I would like to help.
Okay. And you said?
I said, no.
And she said?
Later on, towards the end of the dinner, she brought it up again and said that I should swallow my pride and not be too ashamed to accept help from a friend.
Okay. And you said?
And I thought about it and I said, okay.
All right. So she went back, she drew out the money, and she wired you the money.
Yes.
Now, did you have an appointment to meet with her that Friday evening?
No, I didn't.
Did you have any contact with her again at all?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I had tried to get a hold of her.
How?
Calling her.
When did you try to call her?
I tried calling her after I had received the money.
And you couldn't get her?
No, I couldn't.
Well, where did you try to call her, at the base?
I tried calling her at home.
And did you get her an answering machine?
No, I did not.
How many times did you call her?
I tried calling 3 times that evening.
You mean to say thank you for the money?
Yes.
And you couldn't reach her?
No, I couldn't.
And when did you try again to reach her?
I tried the following day.
After March 21st, when did you contact her?
I hadn't tried for about another week or so.
Yeah?
And I tried again, and once again, I could not reach her.
And then you just stopped calling?
Yeah.
Why?
I hadn't heard from her, and so I figured I'd let her call me.
But she was the one who sent you $400.
Yes, she was.
So you mean after you got the money, you never spoke to her?
No, I didn't. I had tried to get a hold of her to speak to her, but I was unable to.
You had her home address?
Yes, her home address? No, yes. I did not.
Know how to contact her at home?
Just through that telephone number.
You don't have her address? You don't know what the base that she stays on?
No, I knew it was somewhere up in Lamar. It was the first time I had spoken to her in quite some time. She called me up to ask if I'd like to do something. She came down, picked me up, and we got into this conversation. And that's how this came to be.
Ma'am, that is true. After a long time, I did call him to see if he wanted to hang out, and that was Tuesday night. Wednesday night was when we talked on the phone. He never mentioned anything at dinner about anything about his car needing $400. It was on the phone that we discussed it. And I told him that I needed it by Sunday, and we did make plans on Friday night to go out.
No, we didn't.
He is lying about that.
No, I'm not.
Now, Mr. Torres, how long were you saving? How much longer did you think you would have to save up in order to get your car out of impound?
Probably another week or two. Not impound, repair shop.
Repair shop. So you had the $600 already?
Yes.
And you needed just another week or so to put together the other $400?
Yes. It's because I was using my car for work at the time.
Okay.
And so I wasn't able to
So I
make
would
money.
assume that another week or so went by and you had the additional $400. Is that right? So why didn't you wire her the money back?
I didn't have an address to wire to her. I tried to get a hold of her on the telephone and I could not.
Did you try to get her on the phone, say a week or so later, to tell her that you now had the money together?
Yes, I did.
So that you planned on paying her back?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $434. I thought we'd get there. Thank you.
Ronald Reuter is suing his ex-wife, Laura Hicks, and his son, Adam, 15, for the return of his computer.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 298 on the calendar in the matter of Reuter versus Hicks. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Young man, why don't you have a seat, please? Mr. Reuter, you and the defendant had been married. You are divorced for many years now. How many children did you have?
1.
And this is your son?
That's correct.
Whose name is?
Adam.
According to your complaint, Adam had been living with you for several years.
Correct.
And there came a time recently when he decided to move back to his mother's home.
That's correct.
And when he left, he took your computer.
That's correct.
Without your permission.
That's correct.
you want it back?
He called me up and asked me if he could have the computer, and I said no. I understand that you want it, but it's my computer. It's a very expensive computer.
Okay, let me stop you right there. How long had he been living with you?
About 5 years.
Why did he decide to move back with his mother?
We had a falling out. He was failing freshman year in high school. I was trying to encourage him, probably pressuring him too much, to do better, to work, and try to do better because it's going to make a big difference later on. And he was not getting it. I was frustrated. I didn't know what to do. Basically, failed 4 out of 6 classes in freshman, and then got him signed up for summer school to make up some of those classes.
This past summer?
That's right. And then after 3 days, he quit that and decided to go live with his mother, saying that, well, if nothing else, I can always get my GED.
And it was from his mother's house that he called you and said, I want the computer?
That's correct.
And you told him you can't have it?
That's right. And the conversation went something like this. He called me up and said, look, Dad, I'd really like to have the computer. And I said, no, you can't have it. I have another computer, a smaller one, that you can have. If you want to take that, go ahead. But you cannot have the big one. And then he said, geez, Dad, thank you very much for letting me have the computer, and hung up the phone before I had a chance to answer. So I think that was on purpose, so the people on the other side of the conversation could hear him say thank you for letting me have the computer, and thinking that I had given it to him, which I did not. When I got home from work that day, the computer was gone. I immediately called my ex, Laura, to tell her
So you called your ex at that point and you told her what?
I told her there's a mistake. I did not authorize Adam to take the computer. It is my computer. If he wants to have the smaller computer, he can have it. And she says something to the effect, well, it's between me and him. I don't want to get in the middle of it. Besides, if he doesn't have a computer here, they live living in a one-bedroom house or apartment at that point, that he'll go crazy if he doesn't have that computer.
Let me stop you there. All right, Ms. Hicks, I just have some very direct questions for you. Were you present when he spoke to his father on the phone?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Okay. And the conversation went, Dad, can I have the computer? And from what you heard, the answer was?
He told me that Ron told him, well, if you give me back the VCR that you brought from the house, which I guess it used to be in Adam's room or something, and a portable, handle stereo, you can have the computer.
So you went back. I assume you brought back those things.
Yes, we did.
And picked up the computer.
Yes, ma'am.
He let himself into his father's house.
Right, and I waited in the driveway.
Now, that day, did you receive a call from your former husband?
After we got back home, yes.
And he said what to you?
He said that he wants his computer back, and I said it was my understanding that you told Adam that if he brought the VCR and the stereo back, that he could have the computer. And, this is between you and Adam, because he says that's the computer that you bought for him.
But he did call immediately.
After he got home from work.
And then I assume you spoke to your son.
Yes, I did. Well, I think that he spoke to Adam on the phone first, but...
How old are you, Adam?
15 and 10 months.
You had a conversation with your father about the computer?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about your version of the conversation.
Well, I talked to him.
No, look at me.
Oh, I asked him if I could get the computer. We just kind of went back and forth.
What do you mean you went kind of back and forth?
All right, I said to him that I need the computer for school work, and I need because there are a bunch of things that I can do on it, word processing and things.
And he said to you?
Well, he said no, I use it for work, and we kind of went back and forth.
No,
oh,
I got that far. The back and forth is the part, Adam, that, and look here.
All right.
So he said no.
Yeah, and he said I need it for work.
And he said I need it for work, and you said?
I said, what do you need the faster computer for work for? All he basically wants it for is so he can play his game that he likes to play all the time.
Okay.
And because he does spreadsheets, he's an accountant, and he can do that on the slower computer just as good. I mean,
is that what you told him?
Yeah, I mean he used to.
Okay, so you told your father that he could use the slower computer to do his spreadsheets, and he said to you what?
He said, I bought both of them, so, I own them, they're mine. And
and you said?
I just kind of asked, well, can I have the computer? He's like, yeah, sort of, and then I'm like, thanks, Dad, and just kind of hung up on him. That's kind of how it went, yeah, basically. And but I hadn't gotten the computer at that time. I'm kind of nervous.
Just a minute. So then it was pretty much like, as you said, like your father said. He said you can have the older computer that's slower,
Yeah.
but not the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got off the phone, Adam. Your mother was there, and you told your mother, Dad said I could have the computer. Would you take me over and get it?
Well, actually, no, I did not. We did not get the computer at that time.
When did you get it? The next day?
No, like a week later, when I had called him back again.
Okay, so you called him back again.
Yes.
Actually, I think they had, excuse me, I think they had several phone conversations within that week before he actually said to him, well, when he got off the phone and said, you know, he said, if I take the VCR and the stereo back.
Don't take what he says as gospel.
That's why I'm saying.
Right.
He
right.
told me that.
He's doing some fancy footwork here.
I think his father's doing some fancy footwork.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Doesn't say stupid here.
You know, are here.
Would you give away $12,000 that you didn't know?
Not
No. And he's not stupid.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ronald Reuter says he made it clear to his son Adam that he could not have the computer. Adam says his dad changed his mind during a phone call.
Point of the matter is, Miss Hicks, when his father came home from work, he didn't wait a day or a week or a month to say, well, now I want my computer back. He immediately called you and said, hey, listen, there's been some kind of mistake here. I told him he could have the old computer, but he came in and took the new computer. So clearly there was no understanding between the two of them on that day. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I mean, it's logical. Nothing happened between the two of you between the time he got off the phone with his father and he went over to get, with your assistance, the computer. I mean, you said to me his father was at work. I mean,
Can I say something?
Sure.
Your Honor. For the last 2 years, it has been one thing after another, okay, since I filed for back child support.
You say that in your answer. You say that it's been problems.
Yeah, I mean, he has gone out of his way to make our life miserable.
That's terrible.
And let me just tell you, what he was saying about Adam failing school and then he quit summer school. When I filed for the back child support at the very, like 2.5 years ago, whenever it was, the reason I did, after many months of talking to Ron, was I felt that Adam needed to be tested. He was having a lot of difficulty, like 7th grade, 6th, 7th grade, his grades kept going down, okay? I felt that he was having problems and he needed to be tested. I wanted to get him tested.
Okay.
I wanted Ron to help pay for that. Okay, so no, it's not immaterial because that's the reason why he was failing. As the next year he did less. The next year, which was last year, he did fail. I then, when he was failing, got him tested at Huntington Learning Center. He had a reading disability. His grade level was like 5th or 6th grade in reading and a little bit higher than that in math. He's gone to over 70 hours of tutoring since the beginning of summer, which he was already doing before he quit summer school.
Miss
Okay,
Hicks,
and what I'm trying to say is...
well, then say it.
Okay.
I mean, I understand that you're trying to do the right thing.
Yes, but this is what I'm saying, is that one thing after another he has done because he's been angry, because he didn't want to pay the child support arrears.
And if that's true, Ms. Hicks, if that's true...
Yes.
And if he owes child support, that's outrageous.
I have a judgment.
And now, according to your papers, you were supposed to appear in court just a few days ago. I assume you got your judgment for back arrears. Is that right?
No, Your Honor. It hasn't been set aside yet, but there's other litigation going on. I do not owe it. I'm trying to settle now for $12,000, and she will not do that.
Just a second. If you're trying to settle, sir, listen to me.
Yes.
If you're trying to settle for $12,000, that in and of itself is outrageous to owe $12,000. Because if you say, I don't owe $30,000, but I owe $12,000, even that's outrageous. So
well, Your Honor, I don't owe $12,000, as a matter of fact.
Well,
but I am willing to settle it to get it off the case, to get on with our lives. So that is what I'm willing to do.
Just listen to me.
Okay.
Listen to me. Doesn't say stupid here. Nobody.
Nor here.
Well, it would say stupid there if you don't owe $12,000 and you're willing to settle for $12,000. Would you give away $12,000 that you didn't know?
Not
no. And he's not stupid. Believe me. But that's not what this is about. Ms. Hicks, I understand that you may have frustration with him over child support. This is not what this is about. This is about one issue. It's unfortunate that it comes here to court, but logic, common sense, and the timing of the events suggests to me that there was no agreement between your son and his father that he could come and take the high-powered computer from the house. I say that to you, Ms. Hicks, because as soon as your former husband came home from work, he called you and said, listen, I didn't give him permission to take that computer. And nothing happened in that intervening 24-hour period. You know, if you said to me, listen, Judge, this is what happened in that 24-hour period. I got it. Put your hand down. Put your hand down. You seem to be winning. Why don't you be quiet?
Good point. Thank you.
If you were to say to me, Ms. Hicks, that in that 24-hour period, he gave him permission to take the computer, then he got served with a summons for child support arrears that day, got angry, called you and said, he can't have the computer anymore. There was a misunderstanding. Then I could say, well, there was an intervening event that maybe ticked him off. But that's not what happened. He had already been advised that you were suing for child support arrears, so that nothing happened in that 24-hour period, nothing except that he went to work. And he went to work, he comes home, he finds no computer, immediately, according to you. Picked up the phone and called you and said, bring it back, and you should have brought it back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He called the police to have him arrested.
Oh, sir, that's outrageous.
But I did not send the police over.
Well, what'd you expect them to do? Send them a card?
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Ronald Reuter wants his ex-wife and his son to return his computer. Adam says his dad gave it to him.
You look like you're dying to say something.
Yes, Your Honor. May I?
I want to know if you have. I'm not interested in your feelings, sir.
I know.
I'm interested in facts.
Yes, Your Honor.
So then stand up and tell me who you are.
My name is Bob Lipman, and I am married to Laura Hicks. When Adam brought those things over there in exchange for the computer, I heard all the phone conversations.
Just a second. You mean you will? Are you telling me, Mr. Lipman?
Yes.
Are you telling me you were listening into the conversation, or you heard his part of the conversation?
I heard his part, and when Mr. Reuter showed up with the police, I heard it live. He called the police to have him arrested.
I did not.
You did twice.
Just a second. Did you call the police?
I had the police. My next option was to file a report, missing item report.
Oh, sir, that's outrageous.
But no, wait a minute. Wait, Your Honor. I did not file. I could have had him arrested for stolen property. I did not do that. I did not do that. I did not want to do that. I love my son. There's no way I'm going to do that. It was a misunderstanding. I had the police come with me, escort me over there to ask for the property back. That was an option I had. It was a legal option. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to storm.
Just a second.
You're
absolutely right, sir.
One other point. If I may.
My mouth is moving.
One other point, if I may.
I didn't stop moving. It may have been an option. It was an option that you should have rejected as soon as it filtered into your brain. You should have said, I'm not calling the police and indicating that my son came without my permission to take property. It wasn't missing property. You knew exactly where it was.
Yeah.
So it's an option that any reasonable parent would not have taken to send the police over.
I did not send the police over.
Well, what'd you expect them to do? Send them a card? Say, please return the computer.
All I was trying to do is do it
department?
within the legal ramifications that are available to me, and that was one of them, and it seemed very reasonable to me at the time. I'm not trying to...
I'm here to tell you that it was not reasonable. That's a legal option, but one that you need not necessarily exercise. So, say nothing else.
Okay.
There was clearly not an understanding between father and son with regard to this computer. Not an understanding that I'm happy that was established to my satisfaction. We understand each other, Adam?
No, because I believe that there actually was an event that happened in between the 24, happened in between the time.
I'll hear you.
I believe that is when my report card came from summer school, or the call came from summer school saying that I had dropped out. and he was very mad.
How do you know that Adam?
Yeah.
How do you know that came in that 24-hour period?
I believe he called me.
Yeah, he called on the phone. I forgot about that,
Just
too.
a second. He called on the phone when?
I think it was right when he got home.
I had found,
You mean when he got home and found his computer missing?
I think the two things happened at the same time, and I don't believe that there is any show between which one empowered him to call.
Did you get his report card that day?
no, it was the day before.
It was the day before.
It would have been a Monday. He took it on a Tuesday.
When your former husband called and spoke to your son and then spoke to you on the day that you actually took the computer, he said to you, return the computer, right?
Yes, but he said, I think there's been a misunderstanding between Adam and I. And
okay.
Yeah. But this was also the same day, earlier in the day, actually, he called from work and said he was angry because Adam hadn't gone to summer school. And
did he speak to you?
Yes, ma'am.
He spoke to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So just a
And
second.
he talked
hold it. It gets even better.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
So he calls you to tell you that he's angry that Adam didn't go to summer school, something that was arranged when he was living with his father. And at that same day, later on in the day, because you said he called earlier, you took him to pick up the computer?
I don't think they were on the same day, as Ron already said. I think it was the day before, and the next day was when we went over and got the computer. Ron said
Okay,
the
just
same
a second.
thing.
That's even better.
Better.
The day before, he called and had this conversation with you about being distressed that he wasn't in school. The day before. So here he is distressed with you that you're not going to school, and that was the intervening event that made him change his mind when he originally said, no, you couldn't have the computer, and then he said, yes, sure, you can have the computer. Is that what you're telling me, Adam?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
Baloney.
Well,
Baloney. Forget it.
Nice try.
I'm not interested in anymore. It's enough. It's enough. You have to return the computer to your father. You want to show me something?
Yes, Your Honor, I made a mistake in the value. First off, I don't want
I'm not giving you the value, sir. I'm giving you the computer. You're getting your computer back within 5 days. Do you understand? Do you understand? 5 days. The court will draw up an order. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
First off, I love my son. My point is that he should not get something for nothing.
Ron wanted to prove something to Adam. He said he wanted to prove some life lesson to Adam.
I wanted the computer back. The computer was mine, and I wanted to make the point to him that he should not get it for nothing, that he did not earn it.
he wanted the computer just simply because he was mad at me.
This is not about a computer. It is a vendetta. He has just done everything possible to harass her life. This is just one more incident of that.
I can't tell you how much he's made our life miserable for the last 2 years.
It does prove that you can prevail in court.
Bartender Jennifer Miller says 25-year-old salesman Daniel Dyer was drunk and assaulted her outside a bar. Daniel claims Jennifer bit him.
Order, all rise. Now, this is case number 396 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Dyer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
I have a lawsuit for assault and battery and injuries, and I have a countersuit for assault by you. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
This occurred in some bar outside in the parking lot of some bar that you were both in.
Yes.
So, Miss Miller, why don't you start?
Well, on the evening of December 4th, 1997, I arrived at the bar in about 8 o'clock maybe. I was meeting some friends. You know, we were going to celebrate because I just got a new job. I just moved back. And we were playing pool when the defendant came in with another friend, I mean, just staggering and yelling, and came up from behind and grabbed me in my crotch. And
You remember that?
No.
Do you remember anything of that evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Well, I let it slide. I turned around. I didn't
You let
know
it
who-
slide?
Well, not in the sense let it slide. It caught me by surprise. I was there with some friends. I thought it was my friend playing a joke on me. And when I turned around, I saw it was him and another guy, and I asked him, "What did you do that for?" He said, "I'm sorry. I thought you were someone else." Okay, you know, I'm not going to just turn around and hit someone when I wasn't for sure exactly who it was that did it to me at first. A little while later, his friend came up to me and was talking to me and apologized for him. I said, "That's fine, just don't let it happen again." And then he came up and tried to talk to me, and before he could even say anything, I let him know. I said, "Look, I don't know you, but you ever do that again, next time I will hit you." And he said, "Okay, I'm really sorry." And he was talking to me and tried to set his beer down on the table that I was sitting at, and it just went everywhere, all over me, all over the table. So he got up to go get a towel to clean it up and had an argument with some other people that were in the bar. And then they asked him to leave. He was outside, and my friend was talking to him, so I went to the door and told her to come back inside. I put my arm out to reach for her. He slapped my hand away and told me to mind my own business. Okay, so I told him, "You don't know me to mess with me, you know, just leave me alone." I stepped outside the bar to pull her back in, and it's when he slapped me.
Where did he slap you?
In the face.
Go ahead.
But at first, it was more, I guess, because everybody had been drinking. Myself, not nearly as much as he had. But, you know, understandable, you know, when people drink, people do get stupid. You know, I would clearly admit that I shouldn't have stepped outside the bar to pull her in. And as far as that, you know,
he slapped you. What happened next?
I slapped him back, and he grabbed me by my shoulder and picked me up, and his car was there and had me pinned up against the car with my head in between his arm and the car, and I bit him.
On the chest?
Yes, I did.
And then what happened?
He finally let me go, and dummy me, said I told him if he wanted to fight, I'd be more than willing to fight. You know, so I took off my jacket and my sweatshirt. I still had a t-shirt and a thermal on. And then we started fighting from there, and he got asked to leave, and I went back inside. They locked him out of the bar.
When you say you started fighting, you started punching each other?
No, slapping each other.
Slapping each other?
Yeah. And when he threw me to the ground, I got up, he fell, and that was it. In a way, it was more like a joke. Everybody was laughing and thought it was a joke, but me and him were being serious. But they made me go back in the bar. They asked him to leave. So he left. A comment was made that he was going to kill me.
Comment by whom?
By him. Oh. As I was going into the bar, there was other patrons. I wasn't the only one that heard him say this.
But you heard him say it,
Yes. And he came back about 10, maybe 15 minutes later in completely different clothing, banging on the door, trying to get in.
Trying to get back into the bar?
Mm-hmm. And he was then confronted. Then at that first time when he did it, the door was open. He came right back in and walked directly towards me, and everybody from the bar got him and made him go back outside. The bartender at the time locked everybody in the bar. So I waited. I figured I only live maybe 200-300 yards away from this place. I'm going to go home. When it was clear, I didn't see him anymore. So I asked the bartender to let me out, and she did. And at that time, he came up from the side of the building and grabbed me and threw me down to the ground. I hit a sidewalk, and it knocked me out. When I woke up maybe 10 seconds later, he was laying on me, and I told him I was going to kill him, and I kneed him in his mouth. And from there, we started fighting, and people started to pull him away from me. But as they pulled him off of me, he had me by my hair, dragging my face along the sidewalk. And then they took me back in the bar. He left again, and then a few minutes later, the police, the fire department, ambulance showed up.
Was he arrested?
No, he was not.
Why?
They couldn't find him. I have a
Did you file a complaint?
Yes, I did. I signed a 242 PC that night. And The witness that called the police was across the street on a payphone that witnessed this entire thing. He is in my statement.
Okay. I can't hear from a witness who's not here.
I've made attempts to contact him, but I believe he is incarcerated at the time, or at this time.
Okay. Did you go to the doctor or hospital?
Yes, the ambulance took me to the hospital.
Can I see the reports, please?
I have the police report and the doctor bills and the...
Let me see them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All of a sudden, bam, in the right eye, right here, I was hit from the side. I grabbed her by her forearms right here. They kept pulling and pulling and like, let go of her, let go of her. And I couldn't let go because she was biting me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Miller claims Daniel Dyer assaulted her outside a bar. Daniel is countersuing, claiming Jennifer bit him. He wants money for pain and suffering.
So you both told the police that you didn't want to prosecute the other. You told the police you didn't want him prosecuted, but that you wanted him to pay for the medical bills.
Yes.
All right, sir, let's hear your version of the events, please.
Your Honor, on December 4th, 1997, a friend and I decided to go to my friend's dad's bar, which is Cheers, to play some pool, have a few drinks. My birthday was the next day, so we decided to go out there. We arrived at the bar.
You had been drinking before you got to the bar?
Yes.
And where had you started drinking?
At his house.
What time had you started drinking at his house?
Say approximately 9 or 10 o'clock.
And what time did you get to this bar?
Probably around 10:30 or 11.
So you'd been drinking for a couple of hours before you got to the bar?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, go on.
We walked into the bar, ordered a few drinks.
All right, let's stop right there. How far do you live away from the bar?
Approximately a block.
And you walked there?
No.
So you and your buddy were drinking for a couple of hours. You got into your car and you drove there.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who drove?
I drove, Your Honor.
Let's go.
We decided that we wanted to play pool, walked over to the pool table, put some quarters down on the pool table, waited for our turn to come. It came, so I walked over. I noticed that the girls were there at the table next to the pool table. I asked them if they would like to play a doubles game, so we did. We played a doubles game of pool. I noticed
Did you
later,
play a doubles game of pool with him?
I played with his friend and another elderly man from the bar, not Daniel.
We played a pool game. I noticed that it was getting late. It was going to be time for me to go to work in the morning. I had to work the next morning, and I had to get up fairly early. I motioned to my friend. I said, I want to leave. And we had been talking to Jennifer and her friend, and they said that they were going to leave also, and we all walked outside. My car was parked right outside the front door, so we were standing outside talking. My friend said that he was going to use a phone. He walked over to the phone. It was right to the right of the door. Somehow, Jennifer and I, playingly, somehow, I said, let's box. And she says to me, I would kick your... So I said, it doesn't even matter because I've never hit a woman. At that time, I said, I'm going to get out of here. I got to go to work the next morning. I turned to my friend and said, I'm leaving. He said he was staying. So I turned to open my car door, and all of a sudden, bam, in the right eye, right here, I was hit from the side. I fell into my car, hit myself on the lip, and just stunned. She ran into the bar. And then when I gained my composure, I looked back. She had come back out and looked like she was coming back for more or something. I grabbed her by her forearms right here. We fell to the ground. That's when everybody from the bar rushed out, and they thought I was beating this girl's butt or something. They tried to separate us, And in the process of separating us, she was biting me on my left pectoral muscle. And they kept pulling and pulling, and they're like, let go of her, let go of her. And I couldn't let go because she was biting me. And finally, we got separated. They told me to leave. They were calling the police and the ambulance, so I left. I went home, went to sleep. Apparently, the police officers came to my door and pounded on it. I didn't hear them. Later on, we tried to reconcile the situation. I got the bar owner to talk with her mother and her about helping pay for these medical bills. After we had discussed that, the police officer came to my house, said that he needed to speak with me. I went to the police department, gave him my statement. He took pictures of me, of my wounds, and later on he contacted me, said that she was dropping the charges, and he also said to me that I would be able to file charges against her for assault and battery.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you have any recollection of leaving the bar, changing your clothes?
I went home, changed my clothes, came back.
Right! You didn't tell me that, sir.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you left that part out.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Jennifer Miller is suing Daniel Dyer for assaulting her outside a bar. Daniel claims he was restraining her in self-defense.
Now, what time did you get to this bar?
I arrived in between 8 and 8:30.
And had you been drinking before you arrived?
No, I hadn't. I had just come from work.
But you started to drink when you got there.
All in all, the total, during this whole thing, I had 4.5 beers.
Well, little ones or big ones?
Regular 12-ounce bottles. There's some truth to what he is saying, but a lot of it, no. You know, as far as him, that I just struck him out of the blue for no reason is not true.
One of the things I don't understand, Miss Miller, is, he got to this bar pretty well sauced to begin with. And he continued to drink while he was there. And he was so inebriated that he didn't even hear the police when they were banging on his door. So I have to discount a lot of what he said because he was drunk and driving his car. It means he could have hurt a lot of people in the block that you drove. So you weren't even smart enough to say, I've been drinking, let me walk the block to the bar. But that doesn't excuse your stupid behavior.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
You stay in the bar, you don't go outside.
Well, when I did leave the bar, I thought it was safe because he had been gone for a little while. And I figured I live next door, I'm going to run home. I'll be fine.
Why didn't you go with somebody else?
Actually, I did. I left with my friend Shannon and her husband. They were walking right behind me as this happened.
Where are they?
They were supposed to be here this morning. I got a call early this morning. Their daughter had to be admitted to the hospital. She's having some type of surgery on her arms.
Well, did Shannon and her husband come to your assistance?
Yes, they did. They were out of the rest of the bar that was pulling him off of me. They were the first two out, and Shannon was yelling for other people to help her and her husband get him off of me.
And you, Mr. Dyer, have no recollection of leaving the bar, having the door locked, and then trying to come back in. You have no recollection of that, sir?
Of coming back?
Yes.
I did come back.
Do you have any recollection of leaving the bar, changing your clothes?
I went home, changed my clothes, came back.
Right! You didn't tell me that, sir.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you left that part out. What did you go home and change your clothes for?
Excuse me?
What word didn't you understand?
The shirt that I had on had been bitten a hole through.
Yeah.
And so I went home, I changed my shirt.
Right.
Came back.
Why?
Because I wanted to see what was going on.
According to you, you knew what was going on. So you did leave the bar, go home. Did you drive home or did you walk home?
I drove home. Right?
Got into your car, drove home, changed your clothes, and then came back. And what happened when you came back?
I walked in the door. As soon as I walked in, everybody told me to leave. So I got in the car and I left.
No. That's not what happened.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
No. You left out that whole piece of your story, Mr. Dyer. And the first telling of the story, it all happened at one time. She bit you, you got her off you, the police and ambulance were called, and that was the end of the story. That's what you just told me. Isn't that right, Bert?
That's what I heard.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
Your counterclaim, Mr. Dyer, is dismissed. Miss Miller, you're suing for a lot of money. You want several $1,000s. Your medical bills were $888.93.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You want several $1,000s. You don't get several $1,000s because you're almost as dumb as he is.
Yes. I'll admit.
Almost, but not quite. But if I ever got into a fight, I'd like to have you in my corner.
Thank you.
You have photographs of your injuries?
Yes, but they did not come out as well. I also have the injuries from the police department of Daniel as well.
Where are they?
Right here.
Let me see.
And I did bring one of the shirts that I happened to be wearing that night. The other one got lost somewhere that night.
Is any of this money reimbursed by insurance?
No, it's not.
You bit him pretty good.
Well, when he's laying on top of me, there's nothing else I can do.
That's all right. Do what you got to do. You have any photographs, Mr. Dyer?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them, please. His are only slightly better than yours, but this shows a beer belly, sir. Shouldn't drink. It's not attractive.
Oh, my gosh.
Judgments for the plaintiff in the amount of $888. I assume, Mr. Dyer, that you're not going to drink and drive anymore, are you, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Have a history? Any arrests for DWI?
No, Your Honor.
None?
None.
Very lucky. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Why, I'm very happy with the decision. I feel that what I did say was the truth. And as far as anything else, you know, nobody should be drinking if you can't control your liquor.
I didn't like the decision. I believe that she was lying, and that was not how it happened.
He was flirting, him and his friend both, very much.
I was never flirting, so I wouldn't know.
No man can touch you in places that you don't want him to unless you say yes. It goes back to the same thing as no, and that's it.
Picked the wrong person to pick on that night.
Says her former boyfriend, Marine mechanic Andre Buchanan, 23, owes her for a cell phone and rent. Andre says they were gifts.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 288 on the calendar in the matter of Schaefer versus Buchanan. Party's been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Loan gift. Loan gift. Is that where we're at?
Yep.
How long did you date?
About 3 or 4 months, something like that.
And during that time, Miss Schaefer, for some ungodly reason, you gave him money.
I never handed him any money.
You hooked up a phone for him at his request, according to you.
Yes.
And paid a phone bill.
Yes.
Of $400.
$330, yes.
So you didn't, in fact, hand him the money, but you paid this bill.
Yes.
Is that a cell phone or a regular phone?
Cellular phone.
Cellular phone. What do you need a cellular phone for, sir?
She got it so she can get a hold of me. She wanted to keep
That's a
constant
lie.
tabs on me.
Just a second. Well, that may be. That's what you say in your answer. But if there's a $330 bill on the phone, you were using the phone a little bit yourself.
Yeah, I have said I would pay the bill for both phones as long as we kept the contract, but the store said 3 months and the company said a year. But she turned it off and said, well, you can have it back if we get back together.
You told her that you would pay the bill.
Right? If it stayed on for the contract.
What difference does that make, sir? If you told her you were going to pay the bill and then you were no longer dating, which is, I assume, when all this trouble came about, and then she turned off the phone because you were no longer dating, you were no longer together, and she didn't want to be attached to you, nor you to her, I assume, by virtue of this cell phone, right?
Right.
So don't you think that that was smart?
What was smart?
That she turned off the phone and said, you want another cell phone? Go get one.
Yeah, and I got one.
So you got another cell phone, but meanwhile, you used this phone $330 worth.
Wasn't that much. It was the combined bill. Mine was only 120, 140 or something like that.
Is that right?
That was between the two bills. But he told me when we got the phones, he told me he would pay for both phones if I got it in my name.
And
Okay,
if we
so
stayed,
just a second.
if it
Just a
stayed,
second. But that was in anticipation of you having a long and happy life together, right? I just want to know what his bills were.
I have them here.
What
Mark.
was his bill? Because I'm not going to have him pay for your bill, but what was his bill? I'm not going to weasel out of his bill. Are you?
yeah, actually.
You're going to have to do a lot of weaseling, Mr. Buchanan.
$137.32.
137. 32. Okay, so that's the phone. Now let's talk about the other bill for rent. And when did he ask you to pay his rent? How much into this romance did he ask you to pay his rent?
July 3rd.
And how long had you known him?
We met Memorial Day weekend.
So 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Why did you pay his rent?
He asked me to pay, if I would pay his rent. He knew I wasn't comfortable with that. But he pushed me, made me feel a little guilty.
What did he say?
Oh my gosh.
What did he say?
He said, if you can't pay my rent, we can't go camping, this kind of stuff. And I said, okay, I'll pay your rent. He said, I promise I'll have it back to you in full by July 17th.
That's a lie.
This was the 3rd. No, it's not.
That's a damn lie.
This is not a lie.
Okay. Were you having trouble paying your rent, sir?
No, I just couldn't. No,
So why didn't you pay it?
because I was supposed to get a check and I didn't get it.
So you were having a problem
Nope.
paying your rent on
Nope,
time.
I just wasn't. I was gonna have to wait, not go camping that weekend, and pay it on Sunday.
Mr. Buchanan, how does she know that you're having a problem paying your rent?
Because I said I didn't get my check.
So you were having... He thinks he can two-step faster than I can.
He don't know you very well.
Mr. Buchanan, sir, on your best day, you're not as good as I am on my worst day. Do you
Oh,
understand?
well,
All right?
I'll try.
No, you can
I'll
try. You can
keep
try from
trying.
today till tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're out with your girlfriend of a few weeks, and you do tell her that you were having trouble paying your rent.
No.
Thinking.
No, I told her I can't go camping. I had to stay home. I can't spend any money. She said, I'll pay your rent.
How did rent come into it?
I never offered to pay your rent.
How did rent come
I
into
said
it?
I can't spend any money because I had to wait for this check and pay for my rent.
Okay, so you were having trouble with your rent.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess so. Now, so we got that. And she said what?
She said, I'll pay your rent.
You were having all this trouble, you said, because a check that you were expecting hadn't come in yet.
Right.
What check was that?
It was just a back paycheck.
A paycheck
Paycheck.
that was owing to you,
Right.
that you got,
Right.
but you were going to get it a little late.
Right.
That was your problem.
Right.
So you got your paycheck. What'd you do with the money?
I put it in my account
Why didn't you give her back the rent money?
because I never asked her to do it. I never told her I would pay her back.
Oh, just a second. Miss Schaefer, how much was the rent?
$555. I have a tape here, which I'd like you to hear.
What is the tape going to tell me, Ms. Schaefer,
tape
that I
is-
don't already know about this young man?
Is going to have him admitting that he owes me money.
Hey, just a second. I didn't even want to hear it.
Okay.
I have just determined that he owes you the money.
Okay.
Oh.
I also have a check from him in the amount of $700.
Oh,
Reported
but
lost
let
or
me tell you
stolen.
about this check. She comes over to my house with her mom to my grandparents' house on a family reunion weekend. We have family from out of town. She comes over, her and her mom threatens, oh, we're going to call the police. We're calling your probation officer.
Oh, you have a probation officer.
Yeah, I have a probation officer. Not
What
no
do you
more.
mean, yeah, you have a probation officer. And not everybody in this room has a probation officer, sir. What are you on probation for?
Oh, I'm not on probation no more. I was
What were
on
you
for
on probation?
fighting.
For fighting.
Yeah.
As far as I know, fighting is not a crime in this country. So you were on probation for an assault.
Assault.
That's right. So what you're going to tell me, Mr. Buchanan, is that because she and her mother came over during a reunion weekend and made certain threats, you gave her a check for $700, which I
Yes, I
assume
felt-
she had, and then you went and called the bank and stopped payment
Right.
on it.
And counted
It wasn't a stop payment.
Ms.
It was-
Schaefer, he called the bank and said the check was lost or stolen. That's what you wrote in
Yep.
your statement.
It's stamped.
Doesn't make any difference.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She did it herself. I never asked her to do it.
Lie.
Just a second,
She
Mr.
did it herself.
Buchanan. Character, sir.
I got it.
Character.
I was just
You
being
are a
late.
character.
And later today,
She had called 911, told the police department on the dispatch line that I called her stating that I had a gun, that I was coming over to her apartment and I was going to shoot her.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Schaefer and Andre Buchanan split up. Amy says he owes her for 2 loans. Andre says she gave him a cell phone and paid his rent as gifts.
Character is what one looks for in a mate. Clearly, he has no character. He may be a character.
So is she. She's
Well,
just as big
she
as
may
Bugs
be
Bunny.
She may be, sir. And if you think that she's a little dipsy, is that what you think?
Yep, a little, a lot.
Well, you may think she's a little dipsy, but this little dipsy lady laid out some money for you.
No, she did it herself. I never asked her to do it.
Lie.
Just a second,
She
Mr.
did it herself.
Buchanan. Character, sir.
I got it.
Character.
I was just
You
being
are a
late.
character. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $692.32. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Did a Linda trap and got some recordings of me that I didn't authorize.
When you lend somebody money and they've told you they're going to pay you back, and it's apparent that they owe you money, then it's only right to get the money back.
And now the next case.
Parties on Wood versus Beardsley. Step forward, please.
41-year-old accounting clerk Karen Wood says motion picture salesman Alfred Beardsley, 36, agreed to pay her half the fee he received for selling photos of Anna Nicole Smith to a tabloid newspaper. Alfred says they never had a deal.
Miss Wood,
Yes.
you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
You live in the same building complex?
Our buildings are right next to each other.
According to your complaint, the defendant came to you one evening and told you that he had gotten word that some celebrity actress was across the street in the parking lot of this supermarket sitting with somebody and drinking alcohol.
Yes.
And he wanted to borrow some film from you so that he could go and take pictures of her to sell them.
Yes.
Is that right? So you accommodated him, but not only did you give him the film, but you took your camera with film in it, and you went outside to the parking lot and snapped a whole roll of film of this unsuspecting celebrity who was there, having what I assume she hoped was a private moment. Right? And then he went and sold those pictures to one of the tabloids. And you were paid how much?
$1,000.
And you want half of that.
Yes, because we had agreed that for whatever money he got from that we would split it 50-50.
Didn't you have a problem with taking pictures of this person and invading her privacy?
Well, actually, she was in a public parking lot, and she was in the car, and they were, you know, putting beer cans outside the car. I mean, it's not that I went on her property, and I didn't go into a restaurant or a bar where she was. She was out in the public, and even the clerks of the store, everybody was outside watching her.
Have you ever done this sort of thing before, sir?
I have sold photographs to news organizations and syndicated organizations. I haven't done stakeouts or things of that nature.
But you've sold photographs of celebrities, you mean?
Yes.
Let's address your counterclaim. You're counterclaiming for $5,000 because you say she has harassed you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And has filed a false police report against you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let's get to your counterclaim first.
Well, ever since the photos were taken, she would come to my residence on her lunch hour, after work, every single day.
And say what?
Inquiring as to if
What
I had
happened?
sold the film.
So?
So I kept her updated as best as I could until she became, annoying me. It was every single day. It was in the evening. It was late in the evening as well. I pitched them to one major tabloid. They had a problem that 4 of the key shots were out of focus.
Not interested in that.
Okay. Anyways, they declined them. I got a second pitch at another major.
I'm not interested in all that. You sold the pictures.
I sold the pictures.
I'm talking about your harassment claim against her for $5,000. So she's coming to your house. She's asking you what happened. You got a pitch. You finally sold the pictures. Harassment.
When we did the agreement for the pictures, all she wanted at that time was a set of prints.
Mr. Beardsley, are you withdrawing your counterclaim for harassment?
No, I'm not.
Then stick to the harassment.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
So here we had these people doing the following for you, using their camera, their film, drove you to this place, all in exchange for nothing.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Karen Wood claims Alfred Beardsley owes her for half the money for selling photos of Anna Nicole Smith. Alfred is countersuing Karen for filing a false police report.
Just tell me about what the harassment is.
She would post notes on my door where everyone could see when I wasn't home. She would stand at my door and have a complete conversation with my door. Just saying, Al, this isn't fair. Give me some money, so on and so forth. I finally called her back. I said, Karen, we've got to stop this. We've got to come to some agreement. She said, F you, pay me, and hung up. I called again. F you, just pay me, hung up. 3 more times. F you, pay me, hang up. 20 minutes went by. I'm in my living room. I see 2 police officers walk fast past my apartment. Turns out that she had called 911, told the police department on the dispatch line that I called her stating that I had a gun, that I was coming over to her apartment and I was going to shoot her. In the meantime, she recants her story to the police officer saying, well, I thought...
Did she come out at that time?
Oh, her and her mom were out there.
Okay, so she came outside
Yeah.
while the police were there.
Correct.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Had you called the police that day?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard her recant the story.
Yes.
What did you hear her say?
She said, well, I thought he said at one point that he had a gun, and he never actually threatened me with a gun, but I thought he had one because there was a problem a year ago where a silent alarm went off at his house, and the police were pounding at his door at midnight, and he made a statement that he was so scared that he felt like shooting through the door.
What did you told the police when you called 911?
I was walking past his house with my mother and walking the dog, and I yelled, Al, when are you going to pay me the money? Well, he went across the street and called on the payphone, and he said, do you and your mom think that you're smarter than me? I said, Al, why don't you just pay me the money? And he kept saying things and hanging up. Well, I picked up the phone, and I was beginning to call my mom, but I didn't hear it ring, and I guess he had called back, and he said, I'll kill you before I pay you. So I did call 911. They did ask me at 911 if he had a gun, and I said, I don't believe so. I don't see any weapon on him. He just called and said that, you know, what I just told you.
Did you ever say you were going to kill her?
No, Your Honor, I did not say that.
What did you say, sir?
I couldn't get a word in. She kept hanging up on me. And finally, I gave up. And she took the liberty of calling the police.
All right. Mr. Beardsley, let me understand this, sir. You got a tip that this actress was across the street.
Correct.
You had no film.
I had no film.
You knocked on her door. She left whatever she was doing in her home, took her camera and her film, and went out to the parking lot. And she was the one who physically took the pictures. Granted, at your direction, you told her what to shoot, where to shoot it, and whatever, and she was the technician. She shot the roll of film.
Correct.
So far, is that correct?
Correct.
And then she also drove you to this tabloid where you went up to make the pitch.
That's incorrect.
Are you telling me that neither she or, according to this, her mother drove you to one of the places?
Her mother drove me to the first pitch.
Just a second.
Okay.
So here we have these people doing the following for you, using their camera, their film, and according to you, if I believe you, her mother took you in her car, drove you to this place, all in exchange for nothing.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Let me tell you what my judgment is. I am awarding you the $500 that you request for half of the money he got for publishing these pictures. Don't smile yet. Okay. I am totally disapproving of what both of you did with regard to invading someone else's, what I consider privacy. The fact that you are in your own car, even if you're out in a public parking lot, I don't necessarily believe that people who enjoy a certain celebrity have to feel as if somebody's going to come stalking around them and make money off of them, off of their private moments. So I am awarding you $500 from his $1,000. On your counterclaim, sir, that she called the police for no reason on you, I think that that's terrible. And I don't believe you had a reason to call the police. On him! Quiet. And I don't believe that you had a reason to call the police. So I am awarding you on your counterclaim, sir, $500, which means that you're even. Neither one of you gets anything. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I noticed blood dripping from my head.
A catfight in the high school bathroom.
You work after school? You're going to sue.
Judge Judy Justice.
Obviously, I'm not happy, but $500 is $500.
I wasn't stalking him. He was asking me to come over and he would pay me. He didn't borrow my camera. I took the pictures, and he kept asking me, what are you going to spend the money on? How are you going to spend your $500? Why don't we go to Las Vegas? You're not really going to pay bills with it, are you? He even told me before he likes holding my money.
Amarissa Davis is suing her aunt, 37-year-old roofer Debbie Maggard, for keeping her TV, VCR, and boombox after she kicked her out.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 329 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Maggard. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Davis, the defendant is your aunt, who
Yes,
you
ma'am.
say kept some of your property. She doesn't deny she kept your property when she told you to leave her home, and you did rather abruptly with your 4-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
She says she's keeping your property because you owe her some money. That's the story?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you living with your aunt?
Because I got out of the Air Force the 21st of July, and she told me she was having a very hard time paying the bills, and they were approximately 3 months behind, getting ready to shut off her utilities and phone and everything. So she asked me if I'd come and help her, which I said that I would.
And you were looking for a place to live?
Yes, ma'am. I had the money to get my own place, but I guess I'm too nice when it comes to my family, and I offered to help her. In exchange that she would help me, she would watch my daughter, in exchange for me helping her, and we came to a verbal agreement.
Just a second. So your agreement was that you would move in. Were you supposed to pay any rent?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the rent?
$250 rent, $50 utilities, and $100 food, which came to $400 a month, ma'am.
Okay, so you were supposed to give her $400 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in July.
That was the 22nd of July, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what happened? You lived there July, you lived there in August, something happened in September.
Yes, approximately the end of August. My aunt has a 16-year-old daughter, Chrisanne. Her best friend is also 16, had moved in there too. She has a 22-year-old boyfriend.
That is wrong.
Shh. Get to you in a minute. Go ahead.
Her boyfriend, one night I woke up and he was fondling me. I told my aunt the next morning. She doesn't recall it. It happened a second time. I told her again. Nothing was done about it. Third time, it happened. I told her, she said, well, confront him. I confronted him. We, went over it for a good couple hours.
Where did you
arguing.
confront him?
I confronted him at my aunt's house in the living room. I confronted...
Who else was present?
My aunt, my cousin Chrisanne, and his girlfriend. Okay. His girlfriend was crying and everything. I didn't want to do that to her. I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want to make a scene. But there's no way I'm going to let someone sit there and fondle me while I'm sleeping. There's no way. I never made any attempt with this gentleman at all. I've never done that, and my aunt can't say that I have.
Okay, so was it on that evening that your aunt asked you to leave?
Yes, that was the 5th of September.
That was the 22nd of September, because she filed the case on the 23rd of September.
What date was it?
It was the 5th of September because it was on a Saturday. I got paid the 4th of September. I gave her some money out of my paycheck. I gave her money almost every week, which I have it all written down. I do have a sworn testimony.
So you lived there for between 6 and 7 weeks at your aunt's house?
Yes, I lived there for approximately 45 days, ma'am.
Now, did you have any arrangement with your aunt with regard to babysitting for your daughter?
Yes, ma'am. When I came back from Texas, it was $200 a month to watch my daughter.
Where had your daughter been when you were in the Air Force?
She was with her father in San Diego. She spent 1 week with my aunt from July 14th to the 21st of July. I was in Texas for 1 week when I was on a 30-day leave. And
your agreement was you were going to pay her for babysitting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you say it was how much that she was supposed to pay you for babysitting?
She was supposed to pay me I had her write it out before she left.
Let me see.
She was supposed to pay me $350 a month, regardless how long she was gone, because when she came to my house in April, the 1st of April...
Don't go back to April.
Okay.
Payment arranged for taking care of the daughter starting July the 8th. Well, it seems that she paid you some money that she owed you.
She did pay me some money.
Yes, and it says here to be paid $350.
That is, okay,
to be paid by August the 5th.
Right, okay.
Or as soon as she gets paid from the Air Force.
That's right, because she had not. She told me she had not received any money. Okay, well, you can't give money from people that you don't have.
This was 7/8.
7/8.
She owed you $350.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, and then she gave me a $189 voucher, which she had gotten previously from the Air Force as a draw on her pay.
Just a second. I see $189. I see this
pay
there.
And I gave her credit.
Just a second. Bottom line is, as of the 8th of July, she owed you $350.
Correct.
Is that right?
No, ma'am. I told her that I give her $250 a month for childcare and then $100 for food.
On this date, you signed a paper saying that you owed her $350. That's what this paper says.
Yes, that was for rectoral.
That's for before. Now, she was there, I don't see more than 6 or 7 weeks. And your agreement for rent was $250?
$250.
How much did she pay you?
She paid me approximately $175 for July. She paid me $70 for August. She paid me nothing for September. She left the last week in September. Okay? I have it all
She
written
gave you a
here.
lot of money for July.
No, she gave me, okay, but that went back to to April 1st, okay? She moved in my house April 1st, okay? Saying that she would only be there 1 week, okay, because she was supposed to be going to boot camp. Well, the 1 week ended up to be 5 weeks because she had a lot of trouble getting into boot camp. She had to recertify 3 times to get into boot camp, okay?
No, ma'am.
And meanwhile, on the 9th of April, she took her daughter to San Diego with the dad. Before that, when she moved in, we discussed that I would watch the child, okay? So I set all my finances up around that, okay?
Well, I don't know what you're talking to me about. As of July 8th, she owed you $350. What are you going back to April for?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She knows that, no, I don't care who comes in the home. You don't come on to no one. She knows whoever is it, you don't touch them. You don't have nothing to do with them. If you feel you're going to, you leave. Get away from them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amarissa Davis, a mother of a 4-year-old, was kicked out of her Aunt Debbie Maggard's home without her TV, VCR, and boombox. Amarissa wants her belongings back. Debbie is countersuing for rent and childcare.
Madam, I want you to be quiet and just listen to me very carefully. You gave me a signed note that says, as of 7/8/98, she owed you $350. I don't want to hear anything else about what happened in April or March or February. Nothing.
Okay.
And she lived with you a relatively short period of time, which is how
she
come
lived with-
I don't understand how
she
you
lived with
come up.
me- Okay.
How you come up with a figure that she owes you of $1,500.
I have it right here.
Then let me take a look at it. Which is why you kept her property.
Which is why I kept her property, because when I asked her to move, she said...
Why did you ask her to move?
Because she told me on Thursday evening, Thursday morning, Nikos took her to work, okay?
Who's Nikos?
Nikos is Andrea's boyfriend.
You mean your daughter's friend's boyfriend?
Right, because her car would not start.
So
took her to work. He took her to work, okay? Then I had no way to pick her up, okay? So I asked my friend Mark. I went with my friend Mark. We went and picked her up. Then we went to Chief's. In front of Chief's Auto Parts, okay, for him to buy a battery. In front of Chief's, she tells me, I have something to tell you. I said, what do you have to tell me? If it's about me, I don't want Mark to hear it. She said, it's about me. And so she tells me, Nikos came on to me and all this other stuff. He's been doing all this. I said, Amarissa, why didn't you tell me this? She said, I tried. I said, okay, then. I'll tell you what we'll do. If you feel, she said, I don't want him coming to the house anymore. I said, Amarissa, we have to figure out why he's doing this. And if he's a cheat, then we don't want Andrea to have a cheat. So what we decided we would do, okay, is I told her, I said, we'll let him come back to the house. We'll let him stay another night. I'll sleep right on the couch. If he comes to your bed, you get out of the bed, you come tap me on the shoulder and let me witness him in your bed. Then no one can say that you're a liar. There's 2 people saying he sees you in your bed. It never happened.
Just a second. Just a second.
Then,
so that's what you suggested. You suggested that you let him come back for a night. She sleep in her bed.
Because he said, wait, little girl, you'll know you want me, and go ahead, we'll go ahead, and tonight I'll have you. I'll do the same thing I did. This is what she tells me.
Okay.
Okay, so I said, let him set himself up.
Okay.
It never happened. Okay.
So he didn't do anything that night.
Okay, right, okay, so...
Shh. He didn't do anything that night.
No.
So what happened the next day?
Okay, so she told my daughter, Chrisanne, the next morning, Saturday morning. And then Chrisanne told Andrea. And so Andrea asked Nikos, and he said, that's not what happened. I just didn't want to tell you what happened. So then I said, fine. And Marissa came home, and I said, this is bull. I waited Saturday, I waited Sunday, and then I said Monday. I said, this is bull. No one's saying nothing. So I said, Marissa, I decided that if this is the way she was, she knew the rules in the house. She knows that, no, I don't care who comes in the home. You don't come on to no one. She knows whoever is it, you don't touch them. You don't have nothing to do with them. If you feel you're going to, you leave. Get away from them. Okay? Well, I packed all her stuff.
Just a minute, why did you pack her stuff?
Because she didn't pay me no rent. She wasn't paying me. She was stiffing me, okay? I was supposed to
been paid for babysitting. I babysat in August and from July and August, okay? Instead of paying me, she went and moved to Mark's house for 4 days. And then she got another babysitter that I lined up, okay? That I was going to get ready to go to work, okay? So I said, Andra and Marissa, I said, I have a babysitter that will babysit for both of us. But we're going to try her out. So while I'm helping Rob with his roof, we'll see if Lisa's going to work out, okay? And then we sat there and we made an agreement, okay? And then my daughter Heather came over. We were cleaning out the bottom bedroom, preparing for her. And she told my daughter everything, all the agreements, okay? So when it comes to her getting her check and being paid, she didn't pay me. She just changed babysitters. And she was going to move to Mark's. Then she decided she didn't like Mark. So she calls me on Thursday 4 days later and says, can I come back home? And I said, yes, I never knew you moved.
All right.
Can I explain something to you?
Yes, I would hope somebody does. Yes.
From what happened with Marissa and Nico, that happened the night before, and if she was really uncomfortable with him, why did she ask him to give her a ride to work the next day to work?
Excuse me, ma'am. I didn't. I told my aunt a couple times. There was the 2 times that I did tell her previously before Chiefs that she didn't remember me telling her.
Let's say she didn't remember, but you say that he came into the room and he fondled you at night, and the next day you took a ride from him to your job.
I didn't have a way to work. I called my friends. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. She told me, well, if you value your job, if you want to go to work, you'll take the ride.
It's really not important. You left the house. You can't hold her property. All I have to do is, you can't hold her property. You have to give her property back. You have 1 week to do that. Now, how much money did you give her while you were there that you can establish to my satisfaction?
Ma'am, I gave her $200. That was the 22nd of July, sometime in July on Jamie's birthday party. I gave her $150 cash.
She gave me $50.
Just a minute. You gave her $200 on the 22nd
of July. I gave her, that was the check for the SMUD. It was approximately $200.
What's SMUD?
SMUD, Sacramento Municipal Utility District. That's the 180.
SMUD?
That's what they call it, yes. That was the $189 that she has down there.
Just a minute. She's already given you credit for that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
I gave her, August 2nd, I gave her $200 cash. That was for Pacific Gas and Electric.
She did not.
Because they were getting ready to shut it off.
She did not give me no money.
You have proof of that?
I do have a witness that has wrote a sworn statement that he has witnessed me do it.
Your Honor, she had no money to give anybody anything because she had not worked long enough to get a paycheck.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Miss Maggart, you're not listening. You're talking. You can't talk and listen at the same time.
I'll shut up.
Good.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Amarissa Davis says her aunt, Debbie Maggart, kept her belongings after she kicked her out for not paying rent.
So according to you, since she moved in, she gave you $245.
That's all she's gave me.
Okay.
Excuse me.
What?
No. I've given her $1,170. I worked for a veterinary hospital in Folsom. I made $12 an hour. I worked 5 days a week. There's no way that I
You have to be able to establish that to me, madam. When you give somebody money for rent, you're supposed to get a receipt.
I know, but I have a checking account in Lackland Air Force
Why would
Base.
she keep your property?
Basically because my sister stole from me and I let my sister get away with it, and she's trying to do the same thing.
That's
My
not
aunt
true.
has
Your
always
Honor,
been
that's not
jealous
true.
of me.
The reason I kept her property is because when I asked her to leave, she came back the next day, and I told her when she left, I said, Amarissa, I packed your stuff, just take your stuff now. She did not have room in her car, so I left it in my front living room. She calls me in the afternoon and says, I would like to come over and get my property. I told her, come in an hour and a half because I have to go someplace. She shows up in a half hour. I opened the door. She says, wow, what are you doing here? I said, surprise, I didn't go anywhere.
Let me tell you this, Miss Maggart.
Yes.
How old are you?
37 years old.
How old are you?
26, ma'am.
You're her aunt. Are you her mother's sister?
Yes.
Do you speak to your mother?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
Do you speak to your sister?
Always.
Okay. So what I don't understand is what this hostility is with your niece.
I don't have any hostility towards her,
But you
okay?
do, I see it.
What I have, okay, is that she moved in, and I, out of the gracious of my heart, okay, my gut told me don't do it because she uses everybody. But my heart said she's trying. If she's trying, give her a chance because she's trying.
So then what you do, quite frankly, Miss Maggart, is when
So
you have your
frankly,
sister's
she used
child,
me and I didn't like it.
When you have your sister's child who has clearly in her life made some mistakes, according
That's
to
right.
you, and you've tried your best, and whatever it is doesn't work out, what you do usually with family is you say, listen, you have to leave. I'm going to give you a week to find a new place.
I did that.
Shh. Quiet down. Just try to open your ears and listen for a second.
Okay.
Going to give you a week to move out. I can't help you anymore. Whatever it is, I don't want to be angry with you.
I did that.
You didn't. You kept her stuff.
No, Your Honor, I did
No,
that,
listen
okay?
to me. Miss Maggart, you're not listening. You're talking. You can't talk and listen at the same time.
I'll shut up.
Good. That's what you do to family. You say, didn't do the right thing, owed me money, she's not paying me money, she's got a 4-year-old child. You have other children other than this 4-year-old child?
Yes, ma'am. I have a 9-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter.
Okay, so that there were a lot of things in your 26, 27 years that you probably did that you were not too smart.
Yes,
and maybe
ma'am.
your family has bailed you out more than once. But what you say is to family, I learned my lesson.
And I'm
not going to help you anymore.
I understand that, okay, until I got served by the marshal, okay, for this suit.
Well, because you kept her stuff.
And I would have gave her her stuff if she would just gave me, okay, I babysat for her. If I would have babysat, she could not have worked.
Excuse me, you see what I mean? You can't do anything. All right.
Okay,
Judgment! Hey, quiet! That's it. Heard enough.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
The court will prepare an order today that within 5 days of today, accompanied by the marshal or sheriff, you will go and retrieve all of the property that's there. That includes television, VCR, recliner, and a bed. All of her property.
She can have it all.
All of her property.
Every bit of it.
Now, in the few weeks that you were there, and you were there for 6 or 7 weeks, you had an agreement with her that you were supposed to pay for babysitting, you're supposed to pay for food, you're supposed to pay for rent. You have absolutely no proof that you paid her anything. Now, I can't think of any reason, since you both speak to your mother and your sister, so that there is nothing else going on there that would cause this animus, for her to be so angry, except that she feels as if she was used and abused by you. And there was clearly a history. There was really a history with regard to this. I mean, the thing with the boyfriend is stupid.
That's irritating.
I mean, the thing with the boyfriend, quite frankly, is stupid.
That's right.
I don't know why you open up your house to everybody anyway. I mean, I really don't. However, clearly wouldn't have written these things out if there wasn't some problem in the past with regard to money. So judgment in this case is as follows. All the property returned within 5 days. And, madam, I'm giving you $600 towards whatever money you think that she owes you. But I want you to listen to me very carefully. It's just sad that it had to come to this, because this is not what family does to each other. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, hairstylist Adria Velardo says she bailed her stepson, 27-year-old computer artist Frank Velardo, out of jail, and he won't pay her back. Frank says he made it clear that he would never pay her back.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 147 on the calendar in the matter of Velardo versus Velardo. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Mrs. Velardo, this is your stepson.
Yes.
And I assume this is your husband.
Yes.
How long have you been married?
8 years. 8 years.
Why are you laughing? Was it
because
that good?
It's. I'm like, I always thought he was going to be the one to forget. No, it was me.
Okay. According to your complaint, your stepson, this gentleman here, was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
You posted a substantial part of his bail money, $2,200.
Mm-hmm.
And he won't give it back to you.
Correct.
So, let's turn to you. You were arrested.
For a traffic ticket.
For a ticket.
2 tickets.
Totaling how much money?
One was not a traffic ticket.
Don't interrupt.
What I'm trying to understand is, did you want to know how much the bail was? Or did you want to know how much the tickets were for when I went and appeared?
What I want to know, sir, is this. If you're arrested for 2 traffic tickets, you don't get bail of, in this case, I think it was $2,800.
Because they were extremely old is why.
How old were the 2 traffic tickets?
One was a year and a half, and one was almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
And traffic tickets, you mean for parking in the wrong place?
Speeding.
So it was moving violation.
They were moving violations, yes. And they were both dismissed later by the judge because they were already paid.
So you were bailed out. Bail is to ensure your appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Once you appear, bail is usually exonerated and you get the bail money back, unless the fines are so tremendous that the fines somehow eat up the bail money. So are you certain that what you're telling me is 100% accurate, that what you were arrested for were 2 traffic tickets on which the judge set $28,000 bail?
I believe, yeah, one was 15 and one was 13. And I don't believe that the money is given back for bail. When I went and appeared on the tickets, there was a small fine given for one, which I've paid in Van Nuys, and the other ticket was dismissed in Pomona because I had already paid it. I don't think the tickets are really the issue as much as the fact that I was being railroaded into paying money I didn't ask for.
Just a second. What was he arrested for?
Okay, one was a traffic ticket in Pomona for driving on a suspended license and no insurance at the time. And the one in Van Nuys was Division 3. It is the criminal division. It was for switching price tags at an electronics store in the Valley.
That doesn't sound familiar to you?
It was a misdemeanor. It wasn't criminal.
It wasn't a traffic ticket either.
A felony or a misdemeanor are both considered crimes, sir. A felony is just a more serious crime. A misdemeanor is a less serious crime. Now, this switching price tags, was that the crime for which you were actually arrested?
Yes, yes, it was.
And it was after you were arrested on that this outstanding warrant fell on you?
Yes.
Okay. Now it sounds more logical. Now, Mr. Velardo, you were in fact arrested. According to you, you were taken into custody and you were entitled to a phone call. You made a phone call to your wife's mother, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Who wasn't home.
Right.
And you were pretty panicked because you didn't want to spend any time in jail.
Right.
Who was the next call you made?
To my stepmother.
And what did you say to your stepmother?
I asked her, because I didn't know how many phone calls I was going to be able to make, to continue to call my mother-in-law so she could take care of the situation.
When you mean take care of the situation, you mean get the money and get the bail?
Exactly.
So you were confident that your mother-in-law would come up with the now $2,200 in bail money?
Yes.
But she didn't get through to your mother-in-law?
She did not come home till late that night, till well after I was released.
Okay. So it was owing to your stepmother that you actually got out of jail?
It is owing to her? Yes. Did I ask for it? No.
You didn't say, I'm going to stay in jail, did you?
I wasn't going to stay in jail. I knew as soon as my mother-in-law was home or my wife was off work, it could have been handled quickly. I mean, I was in Malibu jail.
Just a second. Now, your excuse is paying her this money back, that you told her that there was no way you could pay the money back.
Correct.
That's not true. It's not true.
And I assume that you would have told your mother-in-law the same thing.
Right.
So why don't you get the money from your mother-in-law and give it back to your stepmother?
I shouldn't be put in this situation. I never asked for it.
I shouldn't
and
have
then
been.
I was railroaded, and I was threatened to have my legs broken by my own father.
Just a second.
I was threatened to have my legs broken by my own father.
Miss Velardo, Miss Velardo, Miss Velardo.
All right, and that's the God's
Miss
honest
Velardo.
truth.
I'm listening.
This is still a court, so put your hands down and be quiet until it's your turn.
Okay.
Good.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I'm assuming that everything he says is true. That his mother-in-law thinks he's such a prize package that she would have put up the $2,200 so that her daughter would be a happy camper and she would have Prince Charming home.
And later today,
he bounced up on the hood of your car and smashed your windshield.
That's right.
And then you slid off.
That's correct.
You're lucky you're not dead.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hairstylist Adria Velardo says she bailed her stepson 27-year-old computer artist Frank Villardo out of jail, and he won't pay her back. Frank says he made it clear that he would never pay her back.
How old are you?
27.
You get arrested, you get put in jail. If you don't want somebody to bail you out, you don't have the money to, then you sit in jail until your court case comes up. That's
right.
what you do.
That's right.
You chose not to do that. You chose to get on the phone and start calling around and asking around for your mother-in-law to bail you out. When you couldn't get a hold of your mother-in-law, you called your stepmother. You told your stepmother, keep trying to call my mother-in-law, assuming that that's true. I'm taking everything that he says is true.
Well, that was both of our mistakes.
I'm assuming that everything he says is true. Some of it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I'm assuming that everything he says is true. That his mother-in-law thinks he's such a prize package that she would have put up the $2,200 so that her daughter, Nicole, that's your wife, would be a happy camper and she would have Prince Charming home.
Yeah.
Right? You owe her $2,200. Pay it. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't ask for it. I never asked her to bail me out. I never asked for money. My father's lost his son and grandchildren and everything over this, all due to a stepmother who I dislike very much.
He's my son, and I'm just embarrassed that this whole situation happened. I wish it didn't, but he has to learn that you just can't borrow money from everybody and not pay it back. That's the bottom line.
And now the next case.
Parties on Rotar, Kinch versus Settle. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Lori Rotar says 46-year-old manager Paul Settle smashed her windshield when her car hit him as he was crossing the street. Lori wants Paul to pay for the windshield.
Who was driving?
I was.
You are the owner of the car?
That's correct.
Were you in the car when this happened?
No.
Why don't you have a seat? You're driving along.
Mm-hmm.
He hits your car, but he's walking. Right?
Well, we collide together.
Well, he hit your car.
Well, yeah.
But he was a pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hit her car, you smashed her windshield.
That's correct.
You want him to pay for the windshield.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me how this happened?
Okay. I was coming from a friend's house, and I was just driving, and I didn't notice anybody was walking or anything. You know, there was, nobody in the crosswalk or not. You know, I'm coming up to the stoplight, and then he must have been like swerving in and out of cars. And as soon as I seen him, I completely stepped on the brakes as much as I could. I thought maybe he would have seen me coming from a distance, like, oh, there's a car coming, let me move out the way, or something like that.
So?
And then I just proceeded to go straight. And
No. You didn't go straight after you hit him.
Well, no.
You were traveling along.
Yes.
The two left lanes were clogged with traffic.
That's right.
And you were in one of those left lanes to
The middle
start
one.
with, right?
The middle one, yes.
So you decided, since you weren't making the left turn and the right-hand lane was clear, you went into the right lane.
That's right.
And were tooling along. All of a sudden, he steps out of nowhere. Correct. You didn't see him.
Correct.
And your car hit him.
Correct.
Now, when your car hit him, he came up on the front hood of the car, right?
Yeah, right.
So you must have hit it pretty hard.
Well, not really, because I was going I'm driving at least 20, 25. Driving.
You're lucky you're not dead.
I agree.
You're lucky you're standing here.
Yep.
No.
But he bounced up on the hood of your car.
That's correct.
And smashed your windshield.
That's correct.
How much did it cost you to have fixed?
$332.10.
So you hit him, or he hit you?
Well, we both.
You hit each other.
That's correct.
And you stopped immediately, I assume?
Yes.
Did you fall off the hood of the car, sir?
I stayed on the hood for several minutes, just sort of assessing myself, trying to feel if there were any broken bones.
Am I alive?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
Okay. And then you slid off.
I slid off, went over to the curb. There were some good Samaritans there, some witnesses. They took care of me, sat me down on the curb, and we waited for the police.
Did you have any injuries?
After the fact, I went to my internal medicine person, And I was complaining at that time of back injuries, soreness, and so on.
Sore, you were
aches and
sore all
pains.
over.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've been going to a chiropractor, and so I had a back sprain, strain, and a subluxation, dislocation of vertebrae.
And you thank God every day that you're
Every
here
day,
that
absolutely.
you're here to complain about a little soreness.
You bet.
Now, you, sir, were jaywalking.
Yes, sir, ma'am. That's exactly right.
And according to you, you were, in fact, weaving in and out of cars.
That's correct. They were stationary.
So you decided to cross. You were in the middle of the street?
We were between two intersections. They were waiting for a stoplight. There were 2 lanes of traffic, and they were both lanes were stationary. The third lane was wide open, and I checked before I stepped into that third lane, looked both right and left, and there were no cars in that lane when I stepped into that intersection. And that's where I met Miss Roeder.
Okay.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
A seemingly intelligent, mature person who's weaving in and out of cars.
I had forgotten my wallet, and I was meeting some friends at a local pub.
You mean they were proofing you for age?
Yes, I said, thanks very much.
I would go there all the time.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Lori Rotar wants Paul Settle to pay for her broken windshield after she hit him with her car.
The problem is, Ms. Rotar, when you're behind a car, you have to be a totally defensive driver.
That's right.
You got to anticipate everything. You got to anticipate children running out to get a ball.
That's right.
An animal running across the street.
That's right.
And a seemingly intelligent, mature person who's weaving in and out of cars, trying to get to the other side. By the way, were you trying to get to the other side for a really vital, important appointment?
I had forgotten my wallet, and I was meeting some friends at a local pub, and I went to the door. They said, "You need some identification." I was flattered. I said, "You need identification from me?"
You mean they were proofing you for age?
Yes, I said, "Thanks very much."
I would go there all the time.
That's right. That's right. So I basically was going back to my car to pick up the wallet. And that was the situation.
Okay. So it wasn't an emergency?
No, no.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that but for your act, the windshield wouldn't have been broken. But for the fact that when you're driving a car, you're really almost totally responsible for what happens, you would have an intact windshield. So it seems to me you both should share the cost of this windshield.
One point that I have is, and maybe you'd like a copy of this, my cost for chiropractic care so far is $592.76. And we're really just in the middle of this situation. Now, I had been willing to chalk this up as bad luck on my part. When Miss Kinch called me on April 9th, I assumed that her insurance company would take care of the cracked windshield, and I was just going to say, well, I'm lucky that I'm alive, and call it even Steven. I figured each party was going to suffer some damages, and I was willing to pay for my own. But at this point, my damages are double what Ms. Roeder...
Let me take a look at your bills, sir. And none of these bills are covered by insurance?
They are covered by insurance. We're negotiating right now. It's supposed to be my auto insurance is covering these, supposedly. We're negotiating.
They should. Well, they should.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have them, so that you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses.
That's right. But again, it's the principle.
Well, we're not here for principle.
Okay.
Right now, we're here for dollars and cents.
Right.
And right now, you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses because your insurance is going to cover it. Now, what about your insurance? Does your insurance cover the glass on your car?
I don't know that because it's my grandmother's car. I was just borrowing it.
I just step on.
Yes.
You're Mrs. Kinch.
Yes.
You lent your granddaughter your car.
That's right.
Never had an accident before?
No.
First.
Right.
And has been responsible with it.
Very responsible. Otherwise, I never would allow it.
Do you have insurance that covers the
Yes,
glass
I
damage?
do.
You
yes,
do?
I do. And the deductible is $250. And the amount that we're asking for, like Lori stated, was $332. But may I make a...
Well, just a minute. How much was the replacement glass for the window?
The actual glass replacement, I went to the most economical provider I could find. And that was $288.10.
Well, where does the $332 come from?
Well, it's the filing fees and for transportation because the car could not be driven because of the broken windshield.
Well, I'm going to consider the actual out-of-pocket expense that you had, which is $288.10.
Okay.
And you have a deductible of $250, right?
Yes.
So your actual out-of-pocket expense is just $250.
Right. May I say that on Thursday, May 28th, Mr. Suttle's insurance adjuster called me and was willing to settle a claim for half the amount.
Half what amount?
Of the windshield, the cost. Well, the cost of my claim, actually, the total amount of the claim, which was $332.10.
That's an offer of settlement. You should have taken it.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, if your total out-of-pocket expenses are in fact $250, because that's the cost of your deductible, and all of your medical bills are being covered, correct? You don't have at this point a counterclaim. You are always free to file a claim if it's within a certain time frame.
That's what I understand.
Right. And you didn't sue her.
I did not.
Okay. $250 is the claim. I believe that each of you are at least partially responsible for what happened. You understand that if you're driving a car, you are almost per se responsible for anything that you hit, anything that breathes that you hit.
Yes.
And it's great that you have a terrific driving record. He was wrong. You know, kids run out between cars, but adults shouldn't. That's why we have jaywalking laws.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't breaking the law. You were.
I admit I was jaywalking.
So it's going to cost you $125. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy,